Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Also featured on The Roar on 99.1, 93.5, and 94.7 HD2. Guys, good morning.
Good morning.
Apparently, it's teal shirt striped
Yeah,
Thursday,
you know what, me and
I
Jeff,
didn't get the memo.
He texted me at 6 a.m.
Rude.
He's like, hey, babe, let's match. LOL. Heart
face.
kisses faces, you know? Jeff was full of it this morning.
Yeah. No,
You know
we're
what?
ready to go. Stripes. I mean, he
What's
got the
up,
polo,
guys?
but
You know what? You know what I love?
Oh boy.
I do want to start the
Here
show
we
with
go.
this.
Well,
I
see you
just want
later.
to say how much I love you guys.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Yeah, I'm going to show my appreciation to both of you.
are you doing Aaron
Fish-
Rodgers?
No.
both of
Gratitude
Oh,
Monday?
my cleanse? You know what? Well,
Did you
excuse
finish
me.
your
I need to do a
cleanse?
12-day cleanse. And then
Please don't,
Why?
because I don't want to be here for the start of it.
that 12 days, man. You'd be going.
Oh man, I would be unbearable if I went on that. What was this cleanse about? Like no carbs, no water, or something
He
like
said
that.
the name of it. I was going to look it up, but I wasn't sure. I'm assuming no carbs. The guy just drinks water and eats,
I
like
don't know.
oranges or whatever.
I don't know,
But no, I appreciate you, Adam. I do.
Oh,
I appreciate you, buddy.
somebody said it. Thank you.
I appreciate you, too.
All right, I do want to get today started on a different note, really, than what we're accustomed to doing. There was a Detroit Lions poll on, I believe, Pride of Detroit, correct?
Yep. Proud of
A
Detroit.
poll done on team and fan expectations for the Detroit Lions based on win total. And 62% of Lions fans agreed that the Lions should win between 7 and 9 games this upcoming season. Now, this is extremely interesting because I kind of fit into that 62%. I actually truly believe this is a football team that's roster will be good enough, considering the schedule, to win 6, 7, 8, 9 games. But you guys need to understand how the NFL works. Year 1, the honeymoon phase, right? We all love each other. Well, year 2, if you're not winning, I mean, Zach Taylor is an anomaly, really, because Joe Burrow got hurt his rookie year, right? And you weren't sure about Zach Taylor. So how does this year play out for the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell? And my question to you, Jeff, is I'm going to give you 2 scenarios this morning. The Lions win 7 and 9 games. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, what does it mean if they don't win 7 and 9 games?
I think the difference right there is if you're going in the right direction or not. Because I'm glad Lions fans all mutually agreed on the 7 to 9 win expectation, because we talk about it on the show, and it's a fair expectation, considering the Lions were in a lot of their games last year and just couldn't close it out. But they couldn't win on the road last year. They didn't win a single game on the road, but they still scratched and clawed despite the injuries. And I think it's time the city of Detroit has these types of expectations. Like, if the Lions come out next year and wins 5 games, Dan's on the hot seat, and that's the reality. And that would be what? Close, not even double-digit games in 2 years. Like, we have to start questioning the head coach, considering, look around the league, all young offensive coaches that have been able to turn things around quickly. I understand the Lions are a different situation, but there's no question in my mind with the draft capital they have, the guy they have in place with Brad Holmes, and his talent evaluation, you've seen it in his first season, so we'll see if he continues it through his second draft. But with that being said, Dan has no reason not to at least scratch and claw for another 7-8 games. I think that's the deciding factor. If he wins less than I would put the mark at 6 games. I mean, I'm pushing 6. I want to say 7.
Is
I
there
want
a
to say
hot
7.
seat number?
Yes,
Really?
absolutely, yeah.
I would say no. I don't think there's anything he could do barring what? 0-17. That would
So if
put
he
him on
comes
the
out
hot
next
seat.
year and gets like 3 wins, you're good.
I
with
don't
it.
see him on the hot seat. Maybe going into next season, but I don't
No,
see him
not
on the
fired
hot
after
seat.
next season, but the
Well,
next
that's
season.
kind of where I'm getting at. I don't
Yeah.
see any scenario where this guy is going to be gone after 2 years. So next year, it's a building year. And I always say this. How do you build a winning culture? Well, you win.
Yeah,
You have to win games now, right? And I think you have a quarterback that can win you games. I think you have an offense that can control the clock, control the line of scrimmage, and actually be more, I would say, productive than maybe what teams will expect this season from you. Now your defense, how will it upgrade? Look, there's still free agency. There's a draft. There's the Tracy Walker situation we'll get to a little later. But I think 7-9 wins is fair. I really do. And 62%, if you told me this last year, I would be laughing at you. And I actually was laughing at you because you guys told me 10 wins. I'm on board with 7-9. I think that's extremely realistic. And I know Neil. Neil wants them to lose as many games as possible given they have a bad start, but you can't build a winning culture with this head coach by losing this many games.
No.
You need to start winning. Now, if you told me, well, they lose 13 games for the next 3 years with Dan Campbell, well, then it allows a new guy to come in and he can try to build a winning culture like a Sean McVay did, because he walked in to the Rams and they had 10 consecutive losing seasons.
Yeah.
So, if Dan Campbell wants to be the guy, the successful head coach for the Detroit Lions, the coach that is remembered that actually turned it around and actually built a real football team, you got to win football games. You got to win football games. And I know there's so much that goes into it. But we're in year 2. Year 1, culture, right? Year 2, win. And I'm not asking for the playoffs. But you got to win a tangible amount of games. You can't sit there at 4-13, 3-14, even 5-12.
That's not yet.
And you expect me to take you seriously. Mm-hmm. And they know that. And they're not going to go into the season expecting to lose a lot of games. They're going to want to win games. But it's put up or shut up now. You going to win games or not? You're going to draw up game plans that give you a significant advantage week to week? It's on you. I think 7-9 wins is realistic for this football team with this schedule.
Yeah.
I really do.
No doubt.
And you know what? I love that 62% of Detroit Lions fans answered this way. You know why, Jeff?
Because they're actually holding people accountable.
Thank you.
That's what we want.
You want some... Again, I don't need a division in year 2 because I know where this team is at. But if I gave you, let's say, a betting line over 5.5 wins, over under, you would take the over, I think. I think 6 wins is doable.
Yeah.
You wouldn't take the under like we did last year. But again, what do you want to see? I always compare him to Jim Schwartz. I feel like that's the comparison because the situation he walked into was chaotic. Schwartz walked into 0-16. Campbell walks into post-Quinn Patricia era. I mean, that wasn't fun at all. And year 1, they lose a lot of games.
Yep.
And then year 2, they lose a lot of games, but they had 6 wins. And then year 3, bang, 10-6. I feel like that's the Lions' schedule.
Yeah.
I think that's where they're going. Now, could they win 10 games this year? Look, I don't know.
No.
I don't. I really don't. I don't know what's going on in Green Bay. I think Minnesota are going to be the best team in the division this year. Who knows, right? They could shock a lot of people. Just Jeff Okudah come back and become an all-pro player? Again, a lot of what-ifs, but I think kind of where I'm trying to bring everybody on the same page here is there's expectations now in year 2. You don't get to blow leads. You don't get to not score more than 20 points for 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive weeks. That's not going to be a thing. You're not going to be able to start 0-8 and expect everybody to say, look, man, he's building a culture here. Really? You build by winning. And if he wins 6, 7, 8, even 9 games, that's a step in the right direction. Year 3 must be a winning season. It can't even be 9-8 in year 3. It needs to be 10, 11, 12 wins. Again, if you don't like my expectations, I don't know what to tell you.
You know what I'm curious to see, too, is if we're going to see the same Dan Campbell. I understand last year there's different circumstances, and he could risk it in that year, but I'm curious to see in this year where you're expected to win, 6, 7 games. Do we still see that same aggressive Dan Campbell that we saw last year? Because you've seen it, in LA with the Chargers. Brandon Staley, very aggressive, and it kind of ended up biting him in the ass at the end of the year. So I'm curious what kind of Dan Campbell we see coming out. Are we going to see the Dan Campbell that are willing to go for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 3, or the Dan Campbell that settles to take a field goal or punt the ball away? That's what I'm most concerned about, just because it's higher stakes now. No one's going to be concerned when you're going for a trick play on 4th and 10, and it's a fake punt. Jack Fox throws a dime. There's going to be way more, risk reward this year. So I'm curious to see what kind of Dan Campbell we see. That's really what I'm looking for.
Yeah, you guys need to understand this is progressional improvement, right?
Yeah.
Do any of you actually think Dan Campbell is going to take this team and win 11, 12 games this year?
Hell
I'll
no.
wait on those answers. I expect them to be no. Okay. So barring that information, 6, 7, 8, 9 wins is kind of where you want to be. Worst case, best case scenario towards the end of the year. Between 6 and 9. And if he delivers that, he's going to get year 3. There's no doubt about it. And then you can sit there and say, well, 10, 11, 12 wins, Dan. Where's it at? Show me. That's where this is going. And that's why I compared it to Schwartz. Schwartz, I believe, was 2 wins, 6 wins, and then 10 wins.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
That was Jim Schwartz. It took 3 years. Now, granted, his first 2, you guys have to understand, Matthew Stafford did not play, 9 games, 10 games at most? He was hurt all the time. Stafford's first full season, which was year 3 for Schwartz, 10-6. Again, different situations now, right? Campbell has a quarterback. I'm not saying he's Matthew Stafford, but he's good enough.
He's at least a veteran.
If Ryan Tannehill can get the number 1 seed,
Yeah.
you guys can figure out how to win with Jared Goff.
Yep.
All right? And I don't like Jared Goff, but that doesn't mean you can't win football games with him. You have a deep backfield. You have the offensive line. You have the tight end if healthy. You have a wide receiver. Who knows what Cephas does? Who knows what you do in free agency and in the draft? The defense needs an edge rusher. The defense needs secondary help, linebacker help. And if you can address those needs, even 60% of them, I think it's a much better football team than last year.
Definitely.
And I'm willing to jump on the train of, 7 to 9 wins. I see it. The schedule it's a cakewalk schedule. Now, look, there's no easy games in the NFL, don't get me wrong. But that's where we're going. And speaking of a cakewalk, there's no easier place to place your bets than MyBookie. Guys, MyBookie, the premier sports betting outlet. You guys have to check them out. Bet from anywhere, anytime using MyBookie. And sign up today using code Woodward. They'll match you dollar for dollar. You put in $100, they'll match you $100. You put in $200, they'll match you $200. Boy, did the over 5.5 look good last night between the Wings and the Avs. We'll get to that in a little bit after the break. But guys, before we go, I do have to remind you, if you do have a gambling problem, please call the Gambling Problem Hotline at 1-800-270-7117. We'll see you right after the break.
It took exploring 50 different formulas and hosting countless taste tests, but we believe Gypsy Vodka is the smoothest vodka on the market. Don't believe us? Ask the owners.
We're Mike and Adam Kazanowski with High Five Spirits Distillery. We're in close to about 1,200 locations throughout Michigan. We wanted to create a brand that was geared more towards freedom, love, adventure, and at the end of the day, we really wanted to tell a story that inspired other people to take risk, follow their dreams, whatever that might be.
Follow us everywhere. Just search Woodward Sports on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, IG, and more.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Guys, the Red Wings took quite the hit yesterday, 5-2 last night. What are your thoughts on the game?
My thoughts are, that's kind of what I expected.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look, the Avs are like one of the best teams in the NHL.
Yeah.
And they didn't even have
they are the
Nathan
best team in
McKinnon
the
last
NHL.
I
night.
know. Yeah.
Landeskog, 2 goals. Look, can we just... The easiest thing I can do is sit up here and just gush over Mo Seider. That's all I can do when we talk about the Red Wings. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
But I expected no different. I know Darren McCarty sat up here yesterday and said Peter Forsberg hates Detroit. Maybe he's right. I'm sure he's right. Peter Forsberg looks like a jackass. Sakic, I always thought, was a gentleman, even when I was frustrated watching them beat us when I was a kid. But, we beat them equally. So I thought the Avalanche Red Wings rivalry was always probably one of the best rivalries, at least in the 90s for sure. Yeah. And there's nothing that would make me more happy than in 3 to 5, 7 years if we were able to watch the Wings play the Avalanche in the Stanley Cup final. I would
Dang.
buy tickets for every game in Colorado and Detroit, and I would travel for both games.
That would be crazy.
That is like my hope, because the Avalanche are going to be good for the next 3-5 years minimum. Their core is so young. They have Maker, they have Rantanen, they have Landeskog, they have McKinnon. They're stacked, and they have the kid at Michigan that they selected that's just going to walk into the team probably next year. Mm-hmm. The Avalanche are just going to always be great for probably the next foreseeable future, 5-10 years. But for me, just last night, what I saw, I know it was a butt kicker. All right, I'm willing to look past the game, but last night got me thinking. You know, it had me in my feels. Is that what people say now?
Yeah.
Had me in my feels. I was just envisioning the Red Wings and the Avalanche Stanley Cup Finals 3, 4, 5 years from now.
I know.
And that, I'm not sure a Lions playoff win would excite me more than that, to be honest. The only thing that could outdo that is the Lions in like an NFC title game. That's about it.
It's so like not comparable because when you're like, you only play one game in the NFL. It's not like you're playing several games in like a rivalry match. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean rivalries are hard to come across in the NFL, right? Because it's such a league of parity that the team at the top one year could be at the bottom the next year.
Everything
or
has
they
to
could
align.
suffer injuries. And like, how often are you playing each other every year in the playoffs, or are you division rivals? How often do division rivals play each other in AFC title games, NFC title games? So it's definitely tricky. The Avalanche are much better than the Red Wings.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's just what it is. Yeah. And that rivalry, to me, really stood up at the top with Michigan, Ohio State growing up. I mean, that was the game you had to watch. When it was on TV, you had to watch. You know there were 3, 4, 5, 6 fights coming.
Yes.
That was it. Whether it was in Joe Louis or in Colorado, you had to be there to watch it. It was must-watch TV. And they never disappointed. But last night, for me, I don't want to focus too much on the result. It's one of 82 games.
Yeah.
The Avalanche are literally one of, if not the best team in the NHL right now, outside of the Hurricanes.
Yeah, they have 2 games over the Hurricanes.
Yeah, so for me, the Avalanche are where they want to be. They're great. Good for them. I don't care. All I know is I would love for 3 to 5 years from now, it's an Avalanche Red Wing Stanley Cup final, because I am not joking. That may be one of the best days of my life. Being able to watch those two. Because, you know, growing up, they were in the same conference.
Yeah.
They were playing in the conference finals, all those matchups in the playoffs. That was all in the same conference. Now, since the Wings moved, they're on the opposite sides. And they have that potential to meet in the Cup final. But, Jeff, what'd you make of the game last night?
Similar to you. I mean, we're obviously not going to discuss the result itself because we knew the result. But at the end of the day, I couldn't agree with any more of what you just said. I think for me, with all Detroit teams, I'm learning patience is a virtue, and especially with the Red Wings, they've been the team that have shown me the most to be excited for. And despite the loss, I think the bigger picture is what does this team look like when they are winning, and is Colorado winning at the same time? Because that's all I want to see is these two teams go at it when they're both atop of their divisions, not just Colorado, and then you have the Red Wings that are, you know, just under 500. So as you know, the result, it's obviously not something we love to see, giving up 5 goals. But at the same time, Mo Sider, it's a pleasure watching those guys. And the Avalanche, where they are as a team, it's 2 different sectors. The Red Wings right now are just trying to clip some wins and show people that, you know, they can be taken seriously for years to come. And that's probably one of my biggest hopes as well, is we can see a playoff series, a rivalry, a personal Celtics and Lakers rivalry. That's what I look at it as from the city of Detroit, our personal rivalry in the NHL. And this is all you can really ask for. You know, the Red Wings, in terms of expectations, I think they've already shown us a whole lot more than we've been asking for. So nothing really to critique the Red Wings, just more so this is what we expected. It's a marathon, not a race. So this
I'm
team
glad
isn't
you
going to
brought
go.
that up. Yeah, you know, what can you expect?
Yeah.
I think you guys just need to enjoy the hockey right now.
That's what it is,
This is not a winning team. I know they're 23-23-6, but I mean, this is a team that I believe is overachieving. I believe the young guys are delivering. And Mo Sider last night, 2 assists. Dylan Larkin, 2 assists. I mean, it's the same guys in the box score every night. It's Sider, it's Larkin, and maybe the most consistent player outside of that, it's not even Raymond.
No.
Raymond, for all the love I'll give him, is very inconsistent.
He was slowing down a little bit.
He doesn't find the back of the net as often as you'd like him. I know he's a rookie. He'll figure it out. He'll get better in the future. But that is concerning. I'm sorry. Mo Sider, every night I'm getting something. Defense, box score, assists, goals, something. Something. But I hope last night, again, it was against the Avalanche, one of the better teams in the NHL. I hope last night was a clear reminder why Mo Sider is the clear front runner for the Calder Trophy. Rookie of the Year, not even close. The Anaheim kid, Zegras, can kick rocks. Lucas Raymond, love you, kick rocks.
Yep.
Mo Sider's the clear number one. Not even close. You know what's not even close to me right now? You guys want to know?
What? What's not close?
To be honest with you, nothing. Honestly, I'm
waiting.
kind of. Look, you guys need to understand from my point of view. I'm really distracted right now. I'm dealing with Fox and CNN over here on the TV, just telling me about what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. So that's not fun. But I'll tell you what is fun. Going to the gym every day. It's a great stress reliever. I'm able to take some time for myself. I think everybody needs their own free time and me time, really. And Planet Fitness absolutely delivers every single time. A judgment-free working out environment. I'm not Mr. Macho Man. Do I look like somebody that's intimidating? Do I look like a guy that's on steroids? No, I don't.
I wouldn't mess with you.
Well, you know what? When I'm at the gym, I feel comfortable, and Planet Fitness gives me that comfortability. Guys, Planet Fitness, check them out. $0 down, $10 a month. Visit them at planetfitness.com or stop by to any Metro Detroit local Planet Fitness. Again, your fitness is essential in 2022. I can't stress that enough. It's something I'm taking very serious, both my mental and physical health. I hope you guys do the same. Do it with Planet Fitness. Take control of your health. We'll see you guys right after the break.
What's the over-under? Should I tease? Who is the lock of the night? Make sure you're watching Woodward Bets to get the latest in sports betting and more. Woodward Bets daily on Woodward Sports.
Everybody, yeah, everybody, yeah. Take it up to the top, everybody never stop. Make it loud, make it real, let them know that we're here with everybody. Yeah, everybody, yeah.
Adam and Jeff have great hair. Their sports opinions are pretty good too.
That's why Sewell fell to you. Ding, ding.
MWS Live on Woodward Sports.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. We're switching gears a little bit. We got to switch back over to the NFL. In history, do we think Stafford and Kupp is the best connection there is?
Got to.
It has to be one of the top two.
Yeah.
Can we at least say that?
At least statistically.
It's top two. Well, not just statistically. I mean, in terms of all-time clutch performances,
yeah.
There's only one duo in NFL playoff history that has done what Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp have done, and that's Jerry Rice and Joe Montana. And statistically, obviously, Stafford and Kupp in a more pass-friendly era have the better numbers, but I don't recall a single quarterback-wide receiver combination that was lethal not only in the regular season, but in the postseason and resulted in a Super Bowl.
Late in the fourth quarter as well.
The only one that I can find is Jerry Rice and Joe Montana.
Yeah.
That is some good class to be in. And I think the question is Stafford to Cooper Kupp the greatest playoff connection in NFL history? I'm going to say yes. Can you deny it? Statistically, it's correct.
Yeah.
Right? So statistically speaking, that is the narrative. Now,
with our eyeballs.
was there anything more destructive than Montana to Rice? No. So, at least for me, Jeff, I'm willing to acknowledge they're number two. But I think it'll always be Montana to Rice because the amount of Super Bowl runs they had, the amount of postseason success they had. Rice was finishing in the MVP conversation, top 3, top 4, top 5, year in, year out, most of his career. And that connection with Joe Montana delivered multiple Super Bowls. So, look, the Niners, for me, I don't think it's even close. I know statistically speaking, Kupp and Stafford have that edge.
Yeah.
But this morning, nah, you're not going to get me to move off of Montana and Rice. It's just a more proven thing. Now, if Kupp and Stafford deliver again this year and they repeat, that's a conversation.
Run it back.
But for me, Jeff, Montana to Rice will always be the greatest single postseason run, along with the greatest connection in postseason history. I know people bring up Brady and Edelman. Not even close. Not even close to these two. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. And last night I spent all night looking this up to try and find other guys that were at least in this conversation. If you could just compare the stats, Cooper Kupp during this 2021 playoff run, he had 33 receptions, 478 yards for 6 touchdowns. Compared to Jerry Rice, when he was 26 years old in the 1988 season, he had 21 receptions, so 12 short of Cooper Kupp. He had 50, 60 less yards. Obviously, it's a more pass-friendly league now. We understand that. He had 409 yards and 6 touchdowns. So he tied Cooper Kupp in terms of his postseason touchdowns. But if we're talking about the greatest connection in playoff history, I might still lean, just because it's nostalgic, that Jerry Rice, Joe Montana. Because they followed it up the next year with another 300 yards, 5 touchdowns in the playoffs. So obviously for longevity purposes, Jerry Rice in Montana. But single season, most impressive in terms of, especially in the fourth quarter, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, they stepped up in the most, especially in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. You talk about the Tampa Bay game as well, late in the game. So I think clutch moments definitely need to come into play. But just in terms of overall connections, statistically it is Cooper Kupp and Stafford. But I agree with you. I think for nostalgic purposes and just because of how long they were doing it, I got to give it to Jerry Rice and Joe Montana. But it is crazy to think about. I mean, 6 touchdowns, almost 500 yards just in the postseason, and he already had nearly the most yards in a regular season of all time. So it's incredibly. That's why we had this discussion. Was his season the most impressive season by a wide receiver? And certainly it is, considering the postseason, considering the regular season, and I think connection-wise, slightly behind Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, just in terms of greatness, but statistically in one season they beat it. And Brady and Gronk, I know people are mentioning that as well. Gronk never caught more than 3 touchdowns in the postseason. I think his career high in yards was 227. So statistically, it's not the same.
Let me try to break this down the best I can. Jerry Rice is 4th all time for the most playoff receiving yards in a single playoff run. 409 yards. Second is Cooper Kupp this year with 478. And there's only one player that eclipsed that mark, and that's Larry Fitzgerald in 2008, that resulted in a Super Bowl loss.
Yeah.
So, sorry, you don't get to have the most yards and touchdowns and be a part of the conversation when you don't deliver. Montana and Rice delivered. Stafford and Kupp delivered. And is it one of the greatest single postseason runs we've seen? Absolutely. It really is. And you have to look at it this way. Don't you think the Bengals knew that Montana was going to Rice?
Oh, absolutely.
Couldn't do anything about it.
Similar to Kupp.
Similar to Kupp.
Yep.
The Bengals knew that Cooper Kupp was the 1A target after Odell Beckham went down on that last drive.
Absolutely.
And they couldn't do a damn thing about it.
They
couldn't do a damn thing about it. And they won the Super Bowl because of it. I really do think it's at least the second greatest postseason run or playoff run in NFL history. I really do. Only behind Montana and Rice. Are there any? I don't think Brady and Gronk is in that conversation. It keeps being brought up.
I know. You have to look at, if we're talking all-time playoff connection.
I'm talking in a singular vacuum.
Nope.
For one given year.
No.
What was the most lethal quarterback to wide receiver combination?
Yeah.
Because I've seen Big Ben and AB put up numbers. I've seen Peyton and Marvin put up numbers.
Aaron Rodgers,
but it
Greg
never translated in the postseason.
Yeah.
Never translated in the playoffs. Never resulted in a Super Bowl. They never went off in a Super Bowl together. Montana and Rice went off in a Super Bowl together. Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford went off in a Super Bowl together. Brady and Edelman, maybe you can make the case for that one. Maybe, just maybe I'll allow it.
And can we please acknowledge this as well? Graham, I understand you're a blasphemous for trying to put Stafford in Montana's lane. I think you're missing the point. No one's comparing Stafford and Joe Montana's legacy. It's the connection to the wide receiver, and statistically, he is in his lane. Technically, Cooper Kupp had more yards receiving and tied touchdowns with Jerry Rice. So connection-wise, they're in the conversation.
By a Super Bowl winning player, Matthew Stafford, in a single season, again, by a Super Bowl winner,
Yeah.
has the most yards and tied for the most touchdowns ever. Cooper Kupp has the most yards and the most touchdowns ever by a wide receiver.
You got to have that conversation. I mean,
blasphemy, right? You just freaking throw words out there.
Do you see Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in this conversation in the
Eventually.
future?
definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I thought too.
That's a great question, Maddie.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We talk about up-and-coming quarterback wide receiver duos. It has to be that.
Yeah.
And it could be whoever gets drafted to Minnesota in the next few years. They'll have Justin Jefferson.
That is a good question. If we had to see any quarterback wide receiver breaking it, I guess my pick, if they're going to the postseason, would definitely be Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. That's the only two guys with the chemistry they have that can come out immediately and make that sort of impact. But like you said, there's plenty of wide receivers. They just need a quarterback. But right now, I like that connection. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. That would be. Whew.
You know, I swear, sometimes I feel like, we're sitting up here talking about stuff and people just don't listen. Wait, Fitzgerald didn't deliver? Who the hell said that?
He delivered. His team just didn't win.
He carried the hell out of that team.
Yeah.
And he had that slant route, I believe, in the Super Bowl where he took it to the house and had them up late before Santonio Holmes toe tap in the back of the end zone to win that Super Bowl. That's not the point. We're talking about quarterback to wide receiver duo. You want to bring up Kurt Warner and Fitzgerald? Well, they didn't deliver and win a Super Bowl.
In a Super Bowl win, because now people Rice is third on the list. No, we understand that.
Rice is fourth, actually.
But you have to look at winning the Super Bowl. Larry Fitzgerald, number one, but didn't win the Super Bowl, so that's what we're talking about.
Guys, who had the single greatest playoff run as a wide receiver? It has to be between Rice, Fitzgerald, and Kupp. I'm willing to give you those three. When we're talking about the teams that have won the Super Bowl, which is the ultimate goal, and you were the most dominant X-factor player along that run, you're in a different conversation. You just are. Nobody remembers Brady's 550 passing yards against the Eagles. Nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about Tom Brady as the Super Bowl winning quarterback that threw 550 yards in a loss. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And to this day, none of you talk about Larry Fitzgerald. I blessed you this morning by even bringing him up. Because you weren't bringing him up. And you weren't even having a conversation about it. First ballot Hall of Famer for sure. Nobody remembers. The losers, I'm sorry. Nobody remembers the teams that lose in the Super Bowl. Whether you like it or not. Nobody's going to remember Joe Burrow played in the Super Bowl, oh my God, if he doesn't get back there again.
Yeah.
At least he got to one. What do I do with people, Maddie?
And no one's sitting here, number one, I don't know, I can't believe you have to clarify this, but we're not sitting up here and saying the Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford connection is more significant than Jerry Rice and Joe Montana. Nobody, that would be a crime if we said this on especially live on the radio. So no, that is not what we're saying. We're saying the one season that Cooper Kupp and Stafford now have played together through their playoff run, statistically, he's up there in yards. He's up there. He's tied for number one in touchdowns.
All right, I think we have illiterate people in the chat. I love you guys. I really do. I'm going to read what's on the screen. Stafford to Kupp. The single greatest playoff connection in NFL history, question mark. Question mark. Not exclamation point. Not a period.
Like, we'd actually sit up here and try and argue.
It's not even the point. We are arguing it. That is the point.
No,
and you know what? Stafford to Kupp, outside of Rice and Montana, is the most impressive single postseason playoff run ever.
Single.
I'm going to give the nod to Montana and Rice.
Yes.
But and again, in a vacuum, for one given year, was there a better year than what Kupp and Stafford did? No, statistically at least speaking. Kupp has the most yards in a single season ever by a Super Bowl winning player.
It's tied
the
with
most
touchdowns.
touchdowns. Yeah. Stafford is tied with 50 with Tom Brady at touchdowns. He has the most yards. The only quarterback ever to have 6,000 yards that won a Super Bowl.
But Adam, you can't say that.
I can't take that into consideration.
Nope. Stats lie, Adam. All the stats lie.
I love it.
I just think it's hilarious.
People will remember that Burrow got there only once. It will be his narrative if he never gets back.
Of course.
Well, him and
You know-
16 others.
For
Him
how,
and 16 others, absolutely.
for how talented he is, that would definitely be the narrative.
You know what's crazy is we anointed Patrick Mahomes as the next coming of God so quickly. And he's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's lost one of them. Where do they go from here? We talk about, like, connections. Him and Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Where does that go up in the ranks? They didn't perform all that great in the Super Bowl when they won it. So I
No.
can't take them into consideration. Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, maybe? If I want to pay my respects to Reggie Wayne because I love him. Who else? Who else in the 2000s do you remember had this good of a connection? Regular season, a playoff run to Super Bowl champion. Anybody? Rex Grossman didn't have it. It was Devin Hester in that defense. Who was it? The Saints? Drew Brees to who? Golston? Or what was it? Michael Golston? I think was his name.
Yep.
Am I remembering correctly, or am I losing my mind? Those are the best wide receiver combinations. Well, Isaac Bruce and Kurt Warner, maybe? Torrey Holt? Kurt Warner, maybe? What, Brady to David Givens? Brady to Deion Branch, maybe? I'll give you Deion Branch. It's just interesting. It really is. But guys, again, you need to understand the question before you start shouting out answers. Who had the greatest single season playoff run in NFL history? Quarterback to wide receiver. You could argue Kurt Warner to Larry Fitzgerald during those playoffs back in 2008. You can do that. But they didn't win. And that also matters. Jerry Rice to Montana, I think, will always be one.
Yep.
The only one that could have topped it would have been Brady to Moss, but they lost that Super Bowl. That's why nobody talks about it. Do you understand where I'm going now?
And he wasn't putting up numbers like this in the playoffs.
No?
So, I mean, the regular season, yes, absolutely. But
He did catch a touchdown in the Super Bowl, but
that was really
it wasn't the Brady Moss you saw 50 and 22 or 24, I believe, in the regular season.
I believe he had 1 touchdown the entire postseason that year.
And then he came in the Super Bowl.
So, you know,
I mean, they were winning games pretty easily. But
we're saying single season in totality. You got to look at the playoffs as well. So, if you're looking at that, statistics don't lie, and that's why we're just sitting up here asking the question: Is Cooper Kupp and Stafford?
Andrew Luck to T.Y. Hilton. What'd they do? Eli to Knicks. Knicks, I believe, is third on that list, by the way. But do you remember Eli to Knicks as oh my goodness, one of the single greatest playoff connections we've ever seen? Do you? No, you don't. You don't. I don't get it. I think number one's got to be Rice in Montana. I don't think you can go any other direction.
Yeah.
Stafford Kupp, I think a good number 2. Number 3, I'm not sure. Eric Gray, kiss my ass and don't come back, buddy. I could care less. Why don't you come do a sports talk show for 2 hours? And you tell me what you talk about, jackass. Call in, buddy. 313-552-6322. Educate me, please. Entertain me this morning. People are funny.
Might as well just...
People are funny. Maddie, we do got to go to break. When we get back, do you give him the tag? Tracy Walker. I mean, I think it's one of the most important Detroit Lions off-season decisions they're going to have to make.
Yep.
So we'll get to that after the break. But Maddie, what do we got?
Yes, before we go, we do need to hear about the Fulling Warehouse.
Yeah, listen, guys. Well, we talk about Stafford and Cooper Kupp. Imagine Stafford at Fulling Warehouse. It wouldn't be fair. Absolutely not. And number one, Fulling Warehouse is the home of the original football pulling pin game called Fulling. You can host your corporate party, team building event, or you can just come in with family and friends. You got 2 ways to play, either $10 unlimited open play or a private lane reservation for $120 for up to 10 people for 2 hours. They have over 100 different beers. They have also their $2 mystery beer machine and multiple full bars. You bring the food or have it delivered in. Come get your full line. Check it out at fullingwarehouse.com. We'll see you after the break.
6 dark corners, a driveway and a patio, 5 windows that could become doors. Every house has unique security challenges. Guardian Alarm has more tech, more team, and more ways to help keep them all safe. Get a professionally designed and installed security and smart home system from Guardian Alarm. Sign up today and get a free video device. Guardian Alarm. Smart, right from the start. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT.
Comerica Park, sunshine, the crack of the bat. More sunshine, warmth. We're almost there, Detroit. Summer 2022 will be the summer of Woodward sports. We just gotta make it through this damn cold first.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. We're previewing next season for the Detroit Lions. Should they, this is a conversation that we need to have, should they franchise tag Tracy Walker?
So with Tracy Walker, there's a couple of interesting things with Tracy. And if they want to tag him, I believe the safety franchise tag right now is around $12 million. Should they do that? No. They need to get a deal done with him. The question is for how much. And we've talked about safeties a lot on the show and where you can find them, where their value is. And we discussed Cal Hamilton at number 2 and how we'd like to find a safety later in the draft because most safeties, top safeties in the league right now have been found in the draft. Even Tracy Walker, he's a former third-round pick. But with Tracy Walker, he led the team in tackles this year despite missing 2 games with COVID-19. So Tracy got better with the right coaching staff around him. Aubrey Pleasant, Aaron Glenn, he clearly improved. So the question isn't about whether you should sign him, absolutely, for the right price. But if you would have to franchise Tracy Walker, if we got to that point, it's a little worrying. And in my opinion, I think addressing the safety position in the draft is what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to draft a safety regardless of what they do. So I think Tracy Walker is one of those guys that you can't lose this early in the rebuild because the Lions came in, they already had a core together. Tracy was a part of that core, and now with a chance to lose him in free agency, there's going to be a team that offers Tracy Walker something. Not Marcus Williams money, but they're going to be offering him something. So the plan for Brad Holmes is to get a deal done with Tracy and for the right price. I'm not a guy who says you should overpay Tracy Walker because honestly, you probably could find another Tracy Walker in the draft somewhere in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. But I think Tracy's earned the right to get a deal here. He's clearly has a rapport with Aaron Glenn and Aubrey Pleasant. He's improved. He's led our team in tackles. He got better as the year went on. So no question in my mind they should look to sign him. The question is for what price? And if it's out of the Lions price tag, don't worry about it. 2 years, you have 4 first-round picks. You're going to have other assets throughout the draft. So I'm not worried about losing Tracy Walker, but in my opinion, you can't afford to lose a guy like this early in the rebuild. So absolutely, you got to find a way to get this deal done.
The problem is Tracy Walker is looking to get paid. And I'm not paying Tracy Walker $8, $9, $10 million a year. That's the problem. And I'm not tagging him because that would be expensive as well. Guys, do you know when Tracy Walker was selected, Jeff? Fun trivia question.
Was it 3rd round?
3rd, 4th round, I believe.
Yeah.
You can find Tracy Walkers. That's the beauty of the NFL. You go look at the top 7 safeties in the NFL right now. Only 2 of them are first-round picks. Only 2. One of them is a top 10 pick.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, that position. Look, is it nice to have a Jesse Bates, an Antoine Winfield Jr.? Yes, it is. It's really nice. A Kevin Byard. It's nice. It's not the most important thing. When I tell you start a defense, where do you go? Defensive line.
Closest to the football.
You start on the edge, interior lineman.
Yep.
Then you work your way out. And who is the last player that you worry about? The safety.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're tagging anybody, to be honest with you. And I think they're going to let Tracy go test out the market. And he'll probably be disappointed because Marcus Williams is probably getting all that money.
Definitely.
Now, whether it's from the Lions or somebody else, I don't know. But what I do know is I'm not paying Tracy Walker $8 million a year.
What's the highest you'd go before saying, all right, see you,
I don't
Tracy?
know, because if you want my number, if you were his agent, you would walk out the door. So I'd offer him 3.7, 4.2 million a year. Somewhere along that line.
Yeah.
I'd give him a 4-year, $16.5, $17 million deal. You would walk out as an agent and never talk to me again.
And do you think it's tough right now because it seems like the interests are maybe not aligning? I mean, Tracy Walker's 27. He wants to get paid, clearly. This is probably his last big contract. He's going to be in the 30s by the time it ends. So I don't think he's going to want he's not going to be able to get paid like this. And the Lions right now can't pay anybody that much money this early in the rebuild, committing that much money. So do you think it's it's a fault of interest, at this time. Can we pay Tracy Walker?
He's not getting big money.
That's the problem.
We need to stop even acknowledging that. He's not getting paid.
I don't think he deserves to get paid that much money.
That one good year? What are we in year 4 now? No, you're not getting paid big time money.
No.
You're probably going to get offered a 2, 3, 4 year deal, somewhere along the lines of $4.5 million, if you're lucky, annual per year. No, it's not going to happen. 4-year, $18 million makes sense. It's the most I'd do. 4-year, $18 million, about 12 of it guaranteed. That's what I'd do for Tracy Walker.
And maybe we can even sign him to a shorter, maybe like a 2-year, so that way he gets a chance to get paid again if he wants to leave, but we have him for another 2 years. I don't know what that... Maybe
that's on him and his agent. I'm not doing it.
Maybe... So you want a 4-year contract with Tracy Walker. You want him till 31, 32?
I think it makes most sense if you're a football team, but it's a position you can replace pretty quickly. So if he wants a 2-year prove-it deal, go for it. That's fine. Prove it. Because I'm not paying you in 2 years, just so you know.
Right. Yeah,
I'm not.
That's 2 years to let him
And in 2
walk.
years, I'm going to go draft a safety.
Yeah.
Or next year, I'm going to draft a safety knowing I'm losing you. Sorry.
Yeah,
That's how it is.
I agree with you.
Welcome to the NFL. I'm not overpaying for a safety. Marcus Williams can get paid. I'm not giving Tracy Walker one.
And then
anything over $5 million.
And then like Joey said, imagine franchise tagging him for $13 million. I mean, it's like you're in a tough. Obviously, not. You're not doing that. Absolutely not. So it's either sign him to a deal or let him walk.
If the Detroit Lions franchise tag Tracy Walker, which I expect them not to do, I don't think that little of them. But if they do, since we want to play the if game, that's probably the closest I'd ever come to jumping off the Ambassador Bridge in a while. I mean, I've thought about it before, but this I think would really push me over. I might do it, and I might do it on a day where it's cold, so there's like 0 chance I survive.
Oh my God.
Look at Maddie right now.
Might have a line behind you to jump because Tracy Walker for 4 years probably isn't ideal for a high amount of money. Anything over, like he said, $18 million.
Again, Craig. This is the problem with Hamilton at number 2. We're literally having a conversation about a decent safety. He's middle of the pack. He's okay. He's good. And we don't want to pay more than $3.5–4 million a year. You want to select a safety at number 2 overall. What's the salary for a number 2 overall pay? It's expensive.
Yes, it is.
It's damn near that franchise tag number.
Yep.
It's about $8.5–9 million a year. You're going to pay that for a rookie safety? Who's going to do what? Is he going to win you games this year? Single-handedly?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think the edge rusher does that.
Yeah.
I think the D-line controls that.
And then you're going to have to pay him.
You're already paying him. That's the crappy
No, I'm saying
part.
like you're paying him $8–9 million for Kyle Hamilton. Then his contract comes up. Then what? I mean, I'd rather commit that money to an edge rusher. But that's me personally. All right, I don't know how other people feel, but
yeah, look, I think absolutely 0% chance he gets tagged. That's not even a thing. I don't think Brad Holmes knows what the hell he's doing. I'm not worried about the Tracy Walker situation. If they can come to a 2-year prove-it deal agreement, great. Hell, if it was a 2-year prove-it deal, I'd be willing to extend $4.5–5 million a year. That's it. That's all you're getting. Nothing more. And 85–90% of it guaranteed. Kick rocks.
Let's.
Again, we want to have this conversation, and you know what? Let's go into it. We're talking about safeties. What do you do with the number 2 pick if it's Kyle Hamilton, Jeff? How do you feel about the pick? Look, forget the edge rushers. Let's say, here, I'm going to give you a scenario where you actually have to contemplate Kyle Hamilton. The Jacks select Aiden Hutchinson, number 1 overall. And you're left with the 2 O-linemen, Kayvon Thibodeau, Kyle Hamilton, and Derek Stingley Jr. What the? And you can't trade back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. This is real. This is real. You can't trade back. Aiden is off the board. You have to consider Kyle Hamilton now, don't you?
Definitely. And I want to know where they have Kayvon on their big board because I'd be looking at Kayvon. But again, if Kyle Hamilton to them is an overall better prospect than he, I'm sure he is, but their evaluations on him might be different than mine. So I think you have to look at him. If they take him number 2.
Craig, I love you, man. I really appreciate you commenting and engaging in the chat this morning. I have a question for you, Craig. And if you want to call in and kind of explain this to me, I would appreciate it. Jeff, if you could drop the number in the chat. Craig, when you say he's the next Ed Reed, do you understand what you're saying? Honestly, I'm not saying that in an insulting way. I'm just having a conversation with you. Do you understand what you're saying? What you're saying is Kyle Hamilton is the next top 3, top 5 greatest defensive player of all time. That's what you're saying.
Future Hall of Famer, yep.
No, not only future, first ballot.
Yeah.
We're talking Aaron Donald level production. That's what you're saying. When you tell me he's the next Ed Reed.
You got to stand by it. What would you do?
I don't.
You didn't answer the question.
What
right?
I would do?
Yeah. Now I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, this is a tough
You
one.
can't trade back.
You can't trade back. I'm taking the edge rusher.
Okay.
Or I'm taking the D tackle.
You got Trayvon Walker up there at number 5. So there's other guys. I don't know.
But I'm going on the defensive line. You're not going to get me at number 2 with a safety or a corner. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And this has nothing to do with Jeff Okudah. It really doesn't. But there's no value. $9 million a year for what? For what? Let's see what Marcus Williams gets paid.
Right.
Go see what Jesse Bates is going to get paid. Antoine Winfield. Where was Antoine Winfield this year? Against Cooper Kupp. Oh, he's on his ass. Getting beat for a 60-yard pass that set up the game-winning field goal.
What if I ask you this question? If Aiden's off the board and you have Kyle Hamilton and Kayvon, and this is, I know your answer, and I would probably agree with you, but this is a question I was asked, and it's interesting, and I'd like the chat to answer this as well. You can call in. Out of Kayvon and Kyle, who would you bank on being all-pro out of those two guys? Like if you were a GM and you're thinking, all right, looking at the two prospects, what guy?
There's less competition at safety, so I'd bank on Kyle Hamilton making an all-pro because there isn't that much competition.
So strictly off competition.
Yeah. I think they're both talented. Now, if you want to argue prospect, who's the better prospect? Look, if you want to point towards Kyle Hamilton, great. What does being a greater prospect do for me? Huh? Mm-hmm. How does that contribute to me winning football games? And I love Kyle Hamilton, man. I'm telling you. Anytime you watch him, he jumps off the screen. He's a phenomenal player. But when you tell me he's the next Ed Reed, I hope you understand what you're saying. I hope you do. I hope you understand. You're talking about a guy that's going to finish with 65-plus career interceptions, is going to have 10-plus touchdowns on the defensive side of the ball, is going to be selected to 8, 9, 10, 12 All-Pros, and is going to be one of, if not the greatest safety in NFL history. I hope you understand that's what it means. I hope you do. Safeties had the most interceptions in the postseason. Okay? Did it translate? Did the Jesse Bates interception in the Super Bowl make a difference? No.
Well, that was the offense's fault, but I get you.
No. Did the Jesse Bates interception make a difference? Was it a game-changing play? Was it, oh my goodness, 2 minutes? No. If Jesse Bates made an interception in the red zone against Cooper Kupp and sealed the Super Bowl, I'd shut the hell up this morning and I'd say, go get a Kyle Hamilton. But, how was the Super Bowl decided this year? Oh, Jalen Ramsey was beat by Jamar Chase, but the quarterback couldn't see him or find him because Aaron Donald was mauling him to the ground.
And don't forget about the NFC Championship game as well.
The same thing.
Yeah, so it's been a thing.
I'm not saying the safety and corners aren't important, but when we're talking about selecting number 2 overall, whether you like it or not, and Aiden Hutchinson is off the board, and I have to decide between an edge rusher and a safety, my God, you guys put me in a really tough situation. That's a hard decision. Yeah. I won't sit here and say it isn't, because I'd actually consider Kyle Hamilton if Aiden's off the board. But I'm going to end up going with the edge rusher. I just am.
Yeah, I would agree with
And what does Harrison Smith do for the Vikings? What does Kevin Byard, all-pro safety for the Titans? That defense had 9 sacks. They still lost to the Bengals. Come on. Ryan Tannehill threw 3 interceptions. I guess, that could be the argument. That's just a bad quarterback. That's what you want to base your wins on? Oh, well, when we play average quarterbacks, our safeties and corners are going to look great. Okay?
What about this?
What happens when you play Matthew Stafford, Kyler Murray? What happens when you play Russell Wilson? What happens when you play Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes? How are your safeties going to look then? It's a tough one. I get the love for Kyle Hamilton. I really do. Put it put it to you this way. If safeties didn't drop Stafford's interception in the final 2 NFC Championship games, Stafford doesn't win. Mwahahaha. I'll put it to you this way. If Jalen Ramsey doesn't drop 2 pick sixes in that same game, we are having this conversation. Mwahahaha. People are so ignorant. Brad Holmes, we have a plan and we are in player acquisition phase. All I need to hear is follow the plan. Yeah, Don, look, I think everybody trusts Brad Holmes to make the best decision. I don't think that's an issue right now. I think this city and this fan base, I don't think has ever felt this confident about a GM before. Sure as hell wasn't Matt Millen, Bob Quinn, Martin Mayhew, no. You were never this confident. And you never had a GM walk in year 1 and deliver what Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown turned out to be. And that doesn't include a Derek Barnes who contributed. I know he wasn't fantastic, but he contributed. You have your 2 defensive line players. They contributed. That's why you're confident in Brad Holmes.
I mean, hey, and at least we don't have to worry about a $50 million contract for Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. You know, the whole Green Bay situation for me is unreal. Unreal. But look, I want you guys to understand something. Football is always, and it's the same thing, tried and true for 100 years. Football is always won within the trenches. Always. Why did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs? Was it because of Antoine Winfield Jr.? Or was it because that defensive line had Patrick Mahomes on his butt the whole game and running for his life? Patrick Mahomes ran for a net of 430 yards, I believe, in terms of running around in the pocket, out of the pocket. He was running for his life. That's why. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. A safety at 2. Boy, I'd pay to see that. I would pay to see a safety at 2. I wouldn't complain. I'd be up here torching the pick. Doesn't change my job. I'm talking about the Lions either way. But boy, they take a safety or a secondary player at number 2. Unreal. Even if he's the Patrick Peterson, then what? What does that give your football team? Jalen Ramsey. What Jalen Ramsey do in the NFC title game and in the Super Bowl?
He struggled.
Nada.
Yeah.
Nothing. It was always the defensive line. It was always the offensive line. For any team, not just the Rams.
It's an offensive, league. Like these
guys,
guys.
I mean...
It's hard,
Good
man.
luck. Really good luck. I don't think you take Devin Lloyd at 2, even though I love the kid. The Lions' best case scenario is they trade back, but who's trading up? And I will always continue to say that up until April, until it happens.
Yeah.
Who's trading up? I know Pittsburgh's going to want to trade up to get a quarterback. They're not trading up all the way to number 2.
No, absolutely not.
Right? So they're going to trade up to 12, 14, 16.
And
That's what Pittsburgh's going to do.
And who loves Aiden and Kayvon that much to trade up to number 2? That's also
Nobody.
Yeah, that's the question.
Nobody is willing to give up future picks to move up in the draft for anything but a quarterback. That is a fact. That is the truth. That will always be the truth in the NFL. That's fun. That was fun. Darrelle Revis shut down defenses. Yeah, and Ed Reed was the single greatest safety in NFL history. Times have changed. You have to move on with the times. Well, you think you need Christian McCaffrey or Dalvin Cook to win? Back in the 80s and 90s, if you didn't have a running back, you were useless. The Lions lived in the postseason because of Barry Sanders. The Cowboys won Super Bowls because of Emmitt Smith. Times have changed. And unfortunately, corners are not allowed to get their hands on wide receivers as often, or I would say as aggressively as they used to.
Can't be as physical. I mean,
it's just the truth.
Yes.
We got to go to break, Maddie. When we get back, Juwan Howard and the Michigan basketball program, got to bring it up. They won last night, their first game without the head coach.
The Godfather took over.
Good things to come for Michigan. There's a big win. They need to get in. They're part of that last 4 in. Last night was a big win for them. Do they continue it? What does Juwan Howard's action mean for the team? Are they going to go on some Cinderella run? Oh, I can't wait to talk about this. Really can't.
We'll talk about that when we come back. But first, we need to hear about the sports marketing agency.
Yes, well, our friends at the SMA Sports Marketing Agency, SMA has been leveraging pro athletes and other notables for a decade against the issues around mental health and substance use disorder. And with the help of NFL alumni Sean Jordan has been able to save lives and take a stand against these issues. You see all the alumni there: Devin Gardner, Braylon Edwards, our guy, Michael Ely, and Lomas Brown. Soon coming to Woodward Sports, though, the sports marketing agency podcast called This is the F Word series on fentanyl. If you are struggling with substance abuse or mental health, they are here to help. Please go to thesportsma.com and tell them Woodward Sports sent you. We'll see you right after the break.
Life is full of hard choices. We're here to make one of life's biggest decisions as simple as possible. My name is Christina Gennari, and for over 20 years, I've helped hundreds of families buy and sell homes. We cover all of Metro Detroit and more, from large luxury homes to starter homes. We will work hard to make sure that you get the home of your dreams. So if you're in the market today or even thinking about buying or selling in the future, make the obvious choice. Christina Gennari, the obvious choice in real estate. Visit us at soldchristina.com today.
Putting on a show here, and that's how you answer. We love our sports. We just wish they'd love us back. Detroit sports for Detroit sports fans. Woodward Sports.
Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. With spotless, sanitized rooms and trained and certified training professionals, ChiliPeppersTanning.com is where you need to visit for the hottest bulbs, hottest deals, darkest tans, and your vitamin D headquarters. 26 locations and more coming soon. We were there Monday with Big D Energy for their grand opening between 11 and 12 Mile Road on Woodward Avenue in Berkeley. Guys, check them out. Chili Peppers Tanning Salon. Tell them Woodward Sports sent you. Tell them Adam sent you. Oh, man. Juwan Howard. Juwan Howard, baby. Juwan Howard got suspended for the rest of the season. Assistant coach steps in. Jeff, they win last night.
They do.
I have two questions. The first one, is this what Michigan needed to kind of get their season back on track? And number two, should Juwan have been fired?
Answer the first one, yes, they did need this, absolutely. And the players even mentioned it after the game, how important Juwan was, not only for the win last night. We give credit to the Godfather, Phil Martinelli, came out there and coached them up, got a good win, actually. But they had a text, and he said, I believe what player it was, they got a text from Juwan Howard. Coach Howard sent us a motivating text before the game, and I think it all fueled us. And the main goal was a win for him. So obviously the players rallied around what happened with Juwan Howard, and they got a win. So importantly, it was. They still have a chance to make the tournament, and Juwan's only suspended for the regular season. He'll come back for the Big Ten, obviously the NCAA tournament. So if they make it, which it looks like they will, considering how well they've been playing. So hopefully they can continue it. But to answer the second question, should he have been fired? Absolutely not. And I think we've talked about the 3 strikes and you're out. And he released a statement, whether it was authentic or not, doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to sit here and say what he did. It was clearly wrong. And we had this discussion. The suspension was well-deserved. A lot of people thought it should have been for the entire season, NCAA included, but they did it for the regular season. I think that's enough. I mean, the guy suspended 5 games. Clearly, he understands what he did was wrong. I mean, he embarrassed, I think, Michigan for the most part in terms of everyone, the outside looking in. People from Michigan, I think, understand, and especially the players understand. They went out and played for him. So I don't think what he did has a detriment on the university or anything. It does hurt the reputation for Juwan Howard, but he can fix that. So depending on what Juwan looks like out of this situation, coming back after 5 games, I think he'll change how he responds, and that's what matters. How does he respond? And I'm confident Juwan isn't going to run into another situation where he's throwing hands with another head coach. So I don't think he should have been fired, no, Adam. I think the punishment was deserved, 5 games. He'll come back for both of the tournaments, and we'll see what happens after that. If he loses his cool, Adam, I'm not going to sit up here and defend him. You should fire him. But as of right now, I think he's learned his lesson.
Yeah, look, the problem I have with Juwan is he's the leader. He's who you look to when things are in chaos. Things aren't going well. When something's going on in the world, who do you look to first? You look to your president, right? You look to your leader. Hey, what are we doing? What's the plan? Juwan Howard's plan was to smack somebody and escalate a situation that really didn't need to be escalated. But I don't even want to focus on that. I do agree with you. He shouldn't have been fired, although I wouldn't have blamed them if they did.
Right. I'm not going to sit here and
I
argue.
really do think what he did was justifiable for a fireable offense because it was his second time. This isn't the streets of Chicago, Juwan. But Michigan last night, they won a game they needed to have. They won a game they needed to have, and that, to me, is a good sign for Michigan. Because you kind of look at how it's going right now for the two teams in Michigan and Michigan State basketball. Michigan State's been losing a lot of games recently.
Yeah.
And now they're struggling going into the final few games of the year. And Michigan, well, they just won after the loss to Wisconsin in the fight. Good rebound game. Well, now they got some tough games coming up. You got your Ohio State. You got a Michigan State. And, Jeff, I think those games are going to decide whether or not we're going to take them seriously come the NCAA tournament. I really don't. I really don't. Nah, it's tough, man. It's tough. It really is. I don't want to sit here and say Juwan Howard, bad coach. He's not a bad coach, but
He's made a bad mistake.
a big mistake.
Couple, actually, not more than one bad mistakes, but hopefully.
Where do you think Michigan basketball goes from here? Do they make a run?
Yeah. I mean, I think they'll be good enough to get squeezed into the tournament. Now, what they'll be able to do in the tournament, I think that's a different discussion. They haven't been playing great basketball, and neither has State, so both of these teams could look for early exits considering if they can turn around their play, but Michigan, they're talented. I mean, they came into this year highly ranked. The season didn't go how they expected, but doesn't mean they can't turn around the season now and at least string out some wins, get into the tournament, and then it's fair game from there. I mean, it really is. I'm not going to sit here and say if you make the tournament, yes, it's not what they expected. Juwan being suspended, Diabate, Williams, it's not what they expected, but there's still a chance for them to at least make noise in the tournament and bounce back next year. So I don't know, Adam. I don't think they'll make noise in the postseason, or excuse me, postseason. We're talking about Cooper Cup in the NCAA tournament, but certainly this team is still talented. I mean, they have guys on this team. You saw it last night, multiple guys with 15 or more points. I mean, they came out and showed out. So they're talented, Adam. It just depends of what they look like when Juwan comes back, because they'll have Phil the rest of the regular season. Juwan jumps in for the tournaments. We'll see what happens. Without
Juwan, and I'm going to include last night, they need to go 3-2. I like that number. 3-2 for me is the perfect number. 2-3 is a little tough. They're going to need to win multiple games, basically, if they have a losing record down the stretch.
And they got State in about a week.
Yep. So it's coming up, and they got Ohio State. It's all coming together now. Mm-hmm. And they got to pull off one of these wins. They have to. They need to win these games. They do. And then put it this way. If they're 3-2 and they have an early exit in the Big Ten Championship tournament, they'll still make the bubble. Or, excuse me, the tournament. Now, it may be close, but they'll make it. If they go 3-2 or 2-3, but they win a few games, maybe they get to the semifinal. Who knows? They're a lock. So look, it's in Michigan's hands. All it is. It really is.
Yes.
And how they rebound. Look, Caleb Houston showed up. That was big for them. They needed that. Mm-hmm. He's been MIA for a while. They're gonna need their players to step up. Hunter Dickinson is gonna need to be better for the last 10, 15, however many games are gonna be left, however long they last. He's going to need to be a big part of it.
Especially defensively. I mean,
can't talk about being a Mr. Double-Double guy.
Yeah.
And just an anemic offense that just throws the ball at him with no real purpose other than, I don't know, figure something out, Hunter. Do something for us. Michigan's got to play better basketball. Hopefully they do. There's nothing better than Michigan and Michigan State in the tournament. I don't think anybody would be opposed to that. Even though I think Michigan's really cutting it close right now. And so is Michigan State. They've been losing a lot of games.
Yeah.
Michigan State's got to turn it around. Izzo's got to turn into Tom Izzo, March Izzo. Come on. Let's go. Pick up the pace. There are 4 games left in the season for you guys, I believe. You got to start winning some. You got to go 3-1, whatever the record needs to be. You need to go into the Big Ten Championship tournament. You need to win as many games as possible. Go in comfortably as a 6, 7, 8 seed. Who knows? And you figure it out from there.
Right.
I love it. I love it. You know what I also love, Jeff? I love your hair. I really do. Seriously, sometimes I just walk in and I just admire his hair. And my question to you is how?
You know what? I'll tell you how. And that's Lady Jane's. Because, guys, let's be honest, we love simple stuff. And although football is over, SportsCenter is still on, ladies and gentlemen. You can watch it in Lady Jane's while you're getting your haircut. And like Lady Jane's haircuts for men, You can walk in, sign in, sit down, and before you know it, you're handsome and clean. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It is wicked awesome.
Hi, my diamonds. It's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house. Hello? Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
Woodward Sports. Missed part of the show today? Watch again on YouTube or download the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Also featured on The Roar on 99.1, 93.5, and 94.7 HD2. Guys, in the latest mock draft for the Pistons, we've got Chet Holmgren selected as number 1. How do you feel about that?
Well, if we're playing hypothetical, we'll see. Obviously, there's a lottery in the NBA. It's not like the NFL. So, although we might be the worst team, you can't bank on getting the number 1 overall pick. You saw it a couple years ago with New Orleans coming in for the steal and getting Zion Williamson. But this year, if the Pistons land the number 1 overall pick, I think the clear number 1 best prospect in terms of upside, it's got to be the unicorn, Chet Holmgren. And that's the conversation. A guy like that... production like that at Gonzaga, what he's been able to do his freshman year, he's clearly, I mean, we throw the word unicorn out a lot. That's a unicorn. 7 foot, can space the floor. He's shooting over 40% from 3. He's averaging almost nearly 4 blocks a game through his collegiate young career. And not only that, he's one of the only guys, I think he's the only guy in college NCAA history to shoot over 70% from the 2-point range, shoot 40% from the 3-point range, and give you 3.5 blocks. So he's a unicorn. But I've always favored Jabari Smith, and there's a reason why. I think for me, and I always like to think, you call it thinking negatively, but I like to look at the guy with also the highest floor. And Jabari Smith, to me, although he is probably the 1 or 2 best prospect in this draft, Chet might have him slightly above Jabari Smith. To me, Jabari is a for sure. Whether he's a superstar, star, he's going to make an impact immediately, and you're not going to have to worry about anything because defensively, it's there with Jabari. He's 6'10", 6'11". He can guard guys on the perimeter. He can shoot the 3-ball, which is something the Pistons are missing, and same with Chet. You need shooting. But also, you can't make an argument and say they shouldn't take Chet because they need both positions. They need a center. They need what Chet does, and that's defending the rim. They need a guy who can work in the pick and roll with Cade Cunningham, and I think Chet fits that perfectly. But to me, I wouldn't be mad with either Jabari or Chet. Those are my top 2. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Jabari's a better prospect just because I've always loved Jabari the entire process we've been covering this draft. But one guy I will say to watch out for, and I'm not saying he's going 1 or 2, but certainly 3 or 4, Jaden Ivey. And that's someone that's been sliding up the draft boards and has been getting buckets at Purdue. He can play both sides of the ball, and he's just explosive, man. A guy that you have to look out for, comparisons to Dwayne Wade and stuff like that. So, to me, it's still Jabari Smith is my personal favorite, but Adam, certainly no doubt in my mind, that unicorn, Chet Holmgren, number 1 prospect. And if the Pistons are able to land either of those guys, they'll be all right.
I'm a Chet guy. I can't. I don't know what it is about a little skinny kid from Gonzaga, man. I can't help it. I love
It's hard not to love him.
Look, you get the Kristaps Porzingis comparisons all the time, but I think he's just a different player, though.
Yeah, I don't like that
I think he's
comparison.
totally different. He's much more dynamic. He can dribble the ball up the court.
Yep.
He can handle it up and down. He has no problem being
He's
a part of the
passer
offense
as well.
Much better passer than Kristaps. Now, are you concerned about the weight? Of course you are. Look, that is not a fun conversation to have.
Mm-hmm.
It's awkward. The only guy you've ever really questioned his weight coming into the league is who? Like Wiggins and KD, but KD was more on Chet's side. I mean, but Chet isn't KD, right?
Yeah, he doesn't play on the KD was
Chet's
strictly
a 4.
Yeah,
I don't think
5.
he's a center. He's a hybrid 4 and 5. It doesn't matter really. You can play him at 5 in today's NBA, but is he a 12, 14 rebound a night guy? Maybe by year 3, 4, or 5, but he's gonna have to put on some weight. And I think with Chet, his floor is scary because if he busts, he's going to bust hard, right?
Oh, yeah.
I hate you, Jeff. All
right, keep going.
But if you take a Jabari Smith,
yeah,
the floor isn't the worst thing, but the ceiling's really nice.
Right.
But I've seen guys like Jabari before, and they flake out of the league. I haven't seen a Chet in a while. It's been a minute since I've seen a Chet. He can hit it from the free throw line, hit it from behind the arc. He's willing to fight in the post for rebounds. Like, the guy, I think he's more physical than what he gets credit for. I know he plays for Gonzaga. Jeff, I hate you.
I love you, man. You're just so funny.
You hate me, I hate you. Love me, I hate you. The hell out of here.
No, but I agree. I love that you brought that up. We've never seen a guy like Chet in terms of being a bust. You talk about Greg Oden. These guys are not like Chet.
Well,
Chet
Greg
is
Oden was a built unit,
Yes.
though, and he had injury problems.
Right.
What is Chet's injury history?
And he's so
I know
dynamic.
that's always the concern with 7-footers.
Right.
But Nikola Jokic is doing just fine. And again, different build, different player, second-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
I can't predict injuries. I really can't.
No, you can't. And that's why you have to take out that end of the equation. I mean, people talk about injuries and his weight. Guys, you have to understand, with Chet Holmgren, I do have the same questions. Can he, and it's not about can, he will gain weight. I think we can all agree with that. I don't think he's going to stay 195 pounds through his NBA career. It's just a matter of when will he gain weight, and the injuries are certainly a factor because, again, if you're that small and fragile, injuries are bound to arise. And talk about KD, he's been healthy for the most part, and obviously he doesn't play in the post strictly like Chet, so KD can kind of thrive off the perimeter. But Chet, to me, listen, he is one of the best prospects I have ever laid eyes on in terms of just complete game. The only thing that stands out, if Chet was 20 pounds heavier, he is the #1 pick, no doubt in my mind. So the fact that we're having a discussion over his weight, Adam, it's like, I mean, that shouldn't be the #1 concern.
Let me phrase it this way. Are you going to be upset come draft night if they select Chet or Jabari?
No.
And
I'll take
one?
them both.
All right, what if they select Paulo?
I'd be pissed.
Okay.
I'd be pissed.
Well, see, we're having a different conversation, right?
Yes.
So we're okay with the two prospects. Now, if you prefer Jabari over the other, I'm not going to freak out. If they take Jabari Smith that night, I'll be all right, cool. I'm on board. Let's go. But I do like Chet. I think Chet can bring something different to today's NBA.
Definitely.
I think he's a guy that can get you 2 threes a night, 3 threes a night maybe. Who knows? I do think he's that quality of a player. He's a good shooter. Again, he can handle the rock. He can be a part of your offense. He's not just a guy like, hey, give me the ball in the post.
Right.
This is a guy that can move around, set pick and rolls. He can distribute the ball. And, of course, he can hit the J. I mean, that's a kid. That's a kid I'd take a chance on at #1. I like Chet a lot. I really do. I don't think the Pistons are going to end up making a big mistake here. I really don't. I think they're going to win either way, whether they select 1, 2, or even 3.
I was going to ask you a question. If the Pistons in the lottery situation, they fall to 3, and you have Jabari Chet off the board, you're in a situation now where you have Jaden Ivey, you have Paulo, and you have to make a decision if you're Troy Weaver. And I think that's a tough situation to be in. Personally, I'm going Jaden Ivey. And Pistons Talk, our guy here, Anthony at the network's been high on Jaden Ivey. And not just that, if you watch his film, that guy next to Cade Cunningham, whew, my God. I mean, it wouldn't fix the center situation, but at the end of the day, you can address it at a later time. Because a guy like Jaden Ivey, I think, would be a better pick. Paulo, I think a lot of people like. The only problem I have with Paulo is he can't shoot. And not only that, he's subpar on the defensive side of the ball. So if you can't shoot and you barely play defense, he's a slasher, and he's a hell of a slasher, but I would chill on the Paulo comparisons.
Oh, I love this comment from Wasim. Weight doesn't concern me. Look at Giannis's body transformation since he got into the league. He had the same body as Chet his rookie year. That is a very good point. And we're talking Chet's coming in much more refined. He's more of a shooter than Giannis.
Yeah, more polished,
Giannis
definitely.
is more of a physical, presence, athlete, whatever you want to call
Specimen.
it. But you know what, Jaden Ivey, I'm thinking Sharp out of Kentucky. And I know he hasn't played.
Ooh.
But you want to talk about picking at 3? Ooh, why not take the guy that a lot of people are talking about is one of the better prospects? If he was playing this year, he'd maybe be in the top 3 conversation, Jeff.
Yeah. 6'6".
What do you think about him?
I like Shaden Sharp. I think
he fits more, right? Because you do want a 3.
Yeah.
The Pistons do need a 3. I think Jeremy Grant needs to be taken to the back of the farm and put out, of his misery and our misery, to be honest. So Jeremy Grant needs to go. I think he's a good replacement. Look, you can't go wrong with Jaden Ivey, but how many players do you want to have doing the same thing on the court at the same time?
I think,
and that's why Chet brings such a unique, ability to this basketball team. Because you have to think also from the Pistons' perspective. Jabari Smith, what am I getting? Insanely talented athlete. He can hit the shot.
Yeah, great shooter. Good defender.
Cade? Similar, but Cade's more of a ball handler?
What? Who are you comparing? Cade and
to Jabari?
I think they could work in pick and rolls.
I think they could work
They'd be great.
very well together. But
yeah.
What is Chet? It's so tough. Look, again, if you tell me Jabari Smith or Chet Holmgren, I'm going to be happy
Win-win.
either way.
Win-win.
Now, when we get to 3, Jaden Ivey, I'm going to lean towards Sharp out of Kentucky. But
that's where the question comes in. It's not 1 or 2. I think we all mutually agree. A lot of people are saying Ivy in the chat. Ivy looks nice, easy set. I just look at championship teams and see size. I agree with you. Easy. I mean, you're preaching to the choir. You need size in the NBA to win. I think Chet, Jabari solves it. You got a guy that's 6'10", 6'11", in Jabari Smith, who can shoot the 3, guard the perimeter, guard the post. Or you have Chet, who's a unicorn.
Funny, nobody cares about size in the regular season, but in the postseason,
you need it.
You just see how important it is.
Yeah.
When you need a stop, when you need to prevent somebody from driving into the lane and getting a free 2. Yeah, it matters, man. It really does. We do need to hit the break. When we get back, the Detroit Lions.
Oh.
What if I told you they select Matt Corral at number 32? How would you feel about that?
I'd be a little disgusted, but we'll talk about it.
Really?
I mean,
we got to have a conversation,
not because of the player, but we'll talk about it.
Jesus Christ. This
We'll
is going
talk
to be
about
fun.
We'll talk
I'm actually going to enjoy this one a lot, Maddie.
All right, well, I can't wait. When we come back, we'll talk about that. But first, we need to hear about Cintron.
Yes, well, Cintron, absolutely delicious, by the way. Drink it every morning before the show. And Cintron World is an aspirational lifestyle beverage brand with a line of sparkling flavored energy beverages, premium bottled water, and revitalizer shots. Cintron is the official energy drink of the Red Wings, proud partners with the Detroit Pistons, and exclusively served at Little Caesars Arena. If you are looking for premium ingredients, long-lasting energy, balanced hydration, essential vitamins, and great taste, Cintron is your top choice. Buy online at cintronworld.com. Use the promo code RedWings10. Save 10% with shipping included. Remember, drink it, live it with Cintron. We'll see you right after the break.
Everything that we've hoped for, finally.
He's going deep, right side. Oh, that is Edwards out there. He goes up in the air at the goal line.
Hey, it's Brandon Edwards here, wanting to welcome the sports marketing agency to Woodward Sports Network, to the family. Glad to have you guys. For the last decade, the sports marketing agency has literally leveraged athletes around issues such as mental health and substance abuse.
It's all happening now.
Make sure you're listening to Woodward Sports all day long. Start your morning with the Morning Woodward Show. Spend middays with Big D Energy. Watch and listen your drive home with the bottom line. And don't forget about Woodward Bets Daily. All live, all right here on the Woodward Sports Network.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Guys, I did forget to bring this up earlier, or before we went to break. Tonight, the Pistons play the Cavaliers, which means we see 2 Rookie of the Year prospects going head-to-head tonight, so I'm excited to see that.
I mean,
can't wait.
But anyways.
People always bring up Evan Mobley. How do you
I'm
not
going
give
to
it
the
to him?
game,
Look,
so I'm excited.
I love Cade as much as the next guy, but Evan Mobley's been there game 1 to now, and he hasn't missed much time. And he's been really consistent. A big reason why they're in the playoffs. They have one of the better records in the East.
Absolutely. Got to give credit where it's due.
I can't hate on it.
I'm excited.
I can't hate on the Mobley pick, but you know what? I heard apparently Jeff is going to hate on this Matt Corral pick. The hell is that?
Yeah,
Walk me through.
I just don't like it
because they're going to end up. I think I've become more comfortable with the idea that they will likely select a quarterback at 32, even if I disagree with it. I do think it's a move they're going to do, or if they're going to try to trade up to grab a Malik Willis. I don't know what they're going to do. I know it's just not going to be at number 2 because, well, I'd burn down Ford Field, so nobody wants that. So what the hell? What's going on at 32, Jeff?
I think, in my opinion, I've been preaching to the choir about this. I don't want a situation similar to Matthew Stafford. I want to build this team before you draft a quarterback. And before anybody says, he'll sit a year, Jeff. Okay. Well, let me tell you this. I would rather build this roster with those picks, with that first round pick, especially Matt Corral. Listen, I like Matt Corral, but there's injury concerns. And not only that, are you absolutely sure Matt Corral is your franchise quarterback? That's the question I have. And it's not even – I don't care what the Lions and getting comfortable with what they're going to do. This is my personal opinion, what I think they should do. And I've always said this. I don't think this is the year for a quarterback. You have Jared Goff for another year, and I get it. There's value in sitting him behind Jared Goff. I get that. But look at the class, man. Like Malik Willis, I get a lot of people like him. He won't be there at 32. Sam Howell, maybe, but still, again – I'm on the bandwagon of taking either a skill position player, a wide receiver, or you take a linebacker or a safety. Either one. I don't care. You want to build this team. There's too many holes in this team. And if you want to say quarterback's a hole, go ahead. But in my opinion, taking Matt Corral, let alone Sam Howell at number 32, absolutely not. And I don't want a situation where you draft a quarterback, next year he comes in and doesn't find success because you don't have a wide receiver. You had to sign one or just draft one late in the draft. To me, you go and build a team before you draft your quarterback next season. I'm not saying next season we'll for sure get Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, but whenever it is, you'll have a time to draft a quarterback. Now, are you going to have a season like this where you have the number 2 overall pick and you have assets? Maybe not, but that's not the point. The point is you have Goff right now, so focus on building a suitable roster around Goff, and he can win you games. We'll figure out that quarterback position next year or the following year. I'm not worried about it, but build this damn team, Adam. That's why I don't agree with the pick. Matt Corral, whatever you guys evaluate Matt Corral, that's on you. To me, not in love with him enough to take him in the end of the first round, but who am I? At the same time, build that team, Adam. Build that damn team. I don't care what the Lions might do, in my opinion. I just don't want a quarterback in the first round at the end of that pick. I don't.
Look, the reality is the Lions are at least going to consider it, whether they select him or not. But do you have an issue with Matt Corral being the pick? Let me try to rephrase this. Do you have an issue with if it's Matt Corral at 32, if they trade up?
I have an issue at quarterback
I know
general.
regardless. But
and Matt Corral, you could throw that on there.
Of the quarterbacks, if it's Matt Corral, are you bought in or you don't like it?
I'm not bought in. Like if they drafted a Lions draft Matt Corral number 32, I'm sitting there going, okay. I can't wait till our show Monday. That's what I'm saying. I can't wait to talk about this. Not in a happy way, but just to discuss it. This is real. This is your franchise quarterback, Matt Corral. Welcome. All Lions fans, gather around. This is the guy that's going to lead you, hopefully, to a postseason. So that's why. I'm not sold on Matt Corral, but are you?
No.
No? Okay. So we
no,
got that.
I mean, I like Matt Corral.
Like
Don't get
him.
me wrong. Maybe I like him at the end of the second or early third round.
Yeah.
But that's a different conversation because I wouldn't select Malik Willis with my first 2 picks, let alone even the second round pick.
We talk about Carson Strong late in the draft. If you want to take it back up late in the draft, that's fine. But first or second round picks, I'm good. I'll pass.
Yeah, look, I'm looking at defensive players, a wide receiver, and more defensive players. That's all I care about this draft. At the end of the first round, early second round, you can go grab a safety. Hell, you could grab a safety in the third round. You can grab a really good linebacker out of Indiana in the fourth round. The players are all there. It's got to be an all-defensive draft, Jeff. Look, Matt Corral is okay. I don't think he's going to translate and become a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, so why the hell am I going to waste a pick on him?
Right.
And it's the same thing with Jared Goff. Can Jared Goff win you games? Yeah. Okay. What else? Ryan Tannehill wins you games, technically. Kirk Cousins is, 500 in his career?
Right.
Kirk Cousins has a better record in his career than Matthew Stafford.
But what happens in the postseason?
Well, no, that's a different conversation. We don't need
For
to
all
get
those
into
guys.
that.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really is a Matt Corral fan in terms of, oh man, if we got him, we'd be feeling really good about this project. Because I think most people and most Detroit Lions fans, I think they've accepted that, you know what, Jared Goff is going to be the guy for the next year or two. And Jared Goff, we believe, can maybe have a resurgence in his career here in Detroit. And if you believe that, why would you entertain a quarterback, right?
Exactly.
And I do believe Brad Holmes has that mindset and that mentality, and I believe Dan Campbell does too. I think they believe they can win with Jared Goff. And I think they're going to stack their defense, grab a wide receiver, free agency, draft, doesn't matter. They're going to load up, and they're going to say, Jared Goff, go prove us right. And remember, down the stretch, he was 3-1. He was 3-1 down the stretch. Let's not forget that. He did play pretty damn good football. I believe he had the 3rd or 4th highest passer rating in the NFL during that stretch.
With all those guys out with injuries.
So, Jared Goff can work.
Yeah.
Drafting a quarterback is an option for Detroit. Now, I think we both agree it's not the right option.
No.
And that is where I'm going to switch gears. What is the right option at number 32? That's the tricky part.
Yeah.
What is the right option at 32? I know you don't understand. I know you won't know how the board is going to unfold up until draft night, right?
Right.
But you're going into draft night, and let's say you can't trade.
Okay.
Back, forward, doesn't matter. What position are you looking at number 32?
I'm going linebacker, wide receiver. And depending on who's there, if there's a Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, I'm not risking sliding in a couple picks just to take Garrett Wilson. But if there's a really good linebacker that maybe fell to you, I don't know top names off the top of my head. I know N'Kobe Dean and Devin Lloyd are going to go high, but if there's someone there, you take a linebacker. I personally, because this is the thing, guys, you have that 34 overall pick. So if you take defense in the first round, you can still address that wide receiver position 2 picks later. So I'm not too worried about it. But Adam, to answer the question, wide receiver or linebacker, I'm good with it. Or safety if there's a guy, but those 2 positions I'm concerned about.
Easy. The Russians have entered the chat. Welcome. Welcome. You're invading Ukraine and now the Woodward Sports Network. Welcome. Welcome. We're all friends here. Oh my goodness. The stock market is collapsing right now, by the way. Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's not a shocker.
Oh, man. Adam, what do you think of the news that Troy Aikman is leaving Fox and will be doing Monday Night Football for ESPN?
It's reported. It's not confirmed.
Anybody is better than Booger McFarland.
Why don't you like Booger? You didn't like his Booger Mobile?
Booger McFarland is one of the most tragic things to ever happen to Monday Night Football. He sucked.
I like his Booger Mobile because he blocked 10 rows behind him.
He looks like Zion in 40 years.
Doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and he looks like Zion in 40 years. Absolutely. The guy, I hate listening to Booger McFarland. Oh, my God. It used to be gold when it was John Gruden and Mike Tirico.
Oh, absolutely.
And then we got stuck with this crap.
I just like that he blocked
I'd
people
rather
behind
have
him with
Vladimir
his
Putin
big,
calling Monday Night Football games than
cart.
Booger McFarland. Swear to God. Hell, I'd rather have Joe Biden. He wouldn't even know what's going on the football field.
Wow.
He'd forget.
Wow, that's mean. Wow.
And here we are, Monday Night Football. The Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers, folks. Well, let's see. Well, Joe, what do you think of the game? Well, I really think the Patriots are going to go after it tonight. Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback. He's going to. I can't deal with it. He doesn't know how to stand either. Did I forget to mention that? Oh, God. The FBI's going to come raid my house, probably. Thanks, guys. Hope you all have a great day. It's probably the last you're going to see of me. Cheers.
At least it's Friday Eve, right?
It is
Friday Eve.
Yeah,
celebrate
Friday
that
Eve.
Swear to God, I'd rather listen to Putin talk about Monday Night Football than Booger McFarland. I'm just trying to make my point. I hope you
You're
understand.
going to get canceled for that.
I don't care, Fish. Let people draw. What are they going to do? Cancel me? Oh, my feelings are hurt. If you just ignore people, they can't cancel you, Fish.
That's very true.
What, are they going to pressure me into firing myself?
They tried to do that to Phil Mickelson. You see what he had to do?
Phil Mickelson has... It's a different situation. He lost a sponsor.
A big
not losing a
sponsor,
sponsor
too.
because I think Booger McFarland sucks.
But that's a big sponsor to him. It's on his hat, his
I don't
shirt, his jacket.
Whoa, he needs a new wardrobe.
I don't even know what to say. Trump is the co-host. Trump and Putin together calling Monday Night Football. I love you guys. Never change. Never change. This is amazing. Great job in the chat, everybody. CIA is on the old Woodward right now just saying, yeah, I know they are. It's all good. Welcome. We welcome everybody.
Come on in.
You're all welcomed. You're all very welcome.
We just won't talk about dictators when the CIA comes in.
It's not about me talking about dictators. You guys just need to understand history for what it is.
Just make sure you clean your bats before they come to your house.
You get debate statistics.
What? It's just the facts. I'm sorry, guys. It's, this isn't revisionist history. Stalin put up better numbers than Hitler, whether you want to accept it or not.
Speaking of dictators, how would you rate today's dictators versus the 40s dictators?
I think it's you can't compare them, right? Because back in the day, you could just go around killing people, and that was okay. I don't think it's okay today.
Well, you know what? You know who we can compare?
Start a war. But
I know we're so off subject right now.
You know who we can compare and who we're going to compare when we come back from the break? Michael Jordan and LeBron James.
Oh, no.
Oh,
we're going to have that discussion.
I've never had this debate yet with Jeff.
I saw it on prep yesterday,
nervous.
and I was so excited. I was with my friend Drew, and I was like, we need to talk about this right now.
Yeah, I am so nervous to have this conversation with Jeff because I have no idea who he thinks is the greatest of all time. So this is all coming, it's all new to me.
Yeah.
Well,
so it should be fun.
We'll get into it.
Before we go, one of these people can stay out.
They can, and Guardian Alarm will help them do that because they get it. Good defense on and off the field helps you feel secure. And not only that, Guardian Alarm has state-of-the-art technology that helps you feel safe, all with 24/7 local monitoring. Guardian Alarm also has convenient features that you check in on your home, control lights and temperatures, even detect smoke or carbon monoxide. It will let you lock and unlock your doors. Call 800 Stay out today. That's 800 Stay out today.
Get out.
Guardian Alarm has been trusted for over 90 years at keeping families safe.
Get out, leave.
Hi, I'm Kay Cunningham. Working with Hall Financial to purchase my first home was easier than I could have ever imagined. They treated me like family from start to finish. Find out for yourself at callhallfirst.com.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers.
Monday, February 21st from 11 to 1 p.m. Join Woodward Sports and Big D Energy for the grand opening of the Berkeley Chili Peppers Tanning on Woodward between 11 and 12 Mile. Come hang and join the Pepper Club. Best deals on unlimited tanning.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show.
I'm not even gonna let you
here
finish
on
your
the Woodward
sentence.
Sports Network. It's time to ask the question: who is the GOAT? Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
I will start because Maddie obviously gave me some bit of information. Look, I'm
Hey,
just going to put it this
listen,
way.
I think LeBron is the GOAT. Sorry.
And I think that's
Bye.
fair to say. I'm not going to call you crazy. I think it's fair to
I
say.
am
You
crazy,
know why?
so it's okay.
You know, I like to consider myself as somebody that is willing to accept information and really be, you know, as neutral as I can be. And I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and he told me, you know what, Adam? You know, I think what people forget about, and, you know, this is someone who thinks MJ is the greatest of all time. People forget that LeBron walked into this league at 18 years old with all the expectations.
The chosen
in the world.
one.
He was the chosen one. He was the next Michael Jordan. And look, whether you like it or not, he's delivered plus some. He's carried teams to the finals. He has his finals. He's won with 3 different teams.
Yeah.
Yes, he has some really bad losses. That's not the point I'm trying to bring up right now. What I'm trying to bring up is the guy from the age of 18 came in with expectations nobody in the history, not even MJ, had. And he still delivered. And I think that's a very important part of this conversation. Having said that, Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. He's the greatest basketball player to ever grace a basketball court. It's not even a conversation. Look, if you want to say it's like 55, 45, 54, 46.
That's probably what it is.
I'm okay with that. Even if you want to say 51, 49, fine. Like, I think it's closer than people want to admit.
Yeah.
I do have LeBron as the second best player of all time. I do. But Michael is Michael. It's so hard to explain that and quantify it outside of what? All the defensive player, the defensive player of the years. All defensive teams. All NBA teams. Leading the league in scoring, steals, doesn't matter. All-around player. Averaged about 5-6 assists a game in the postseason. Was the best player. And yes, he didn't start winning until Isaiah and Magic kind of fluttered out of the league and Bird. But when this is such a hard conversation.
Yeah.
But you guys need to understand something. Whether you want to agree with it or not. When Michael entered his complete prime and started winning chips, did anybody else win? No. When LeBron entered his prime, which is around Miami Heat time, I don't even consider Cleveland. Did other teams win? Yeah, he was 2-2 in the finals with the Miami Heat. Forget the Golden State years. Look at the Miami years. Prime LeBron James. The most unstoppable player in the NBA at the time. He was 2-2. And he had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh.
Yeah, won 2 out of 4, which I would say isn't as what we expected. With that team and the Heatles, they probably should have won 3, if not 4 out of 4. So you make a great point. I'm glad you brought up, and I'm going to bring up another thing too. I think generations matter, and obviously in the next 25 years, the conversation might shift a little bit, but still right now, like, I don't see how anybody can't say Michael Jordan's the GOAT. Now, LeBron wins the longevity argument. He certainly does. I think that matters, being great for that long. He's been as consistent, really, as any superstar ever. He's never averaged, less than 20 points, 25 points. So he has put in the work. And not only that, LeBron James, if we compare accolades, which is very important, LeBron might have the edge in some things, but also people forget Michael Jordan took 2 years off for baseball. And not only that, Michael Jordan went to college, so he entered the NBA a little later than LeBron did. So there's obviously going to be a lack of the points, the assists, the rebounds, the steals, all that stuff. So LeBron is probably going to go down at the end of the day as the #1 leading scorer in NBA history. But does that change the argument? I don't think so. And I think
it's a complete story. Because if it's just about rings, people can make the argument for Bill Russell.
There you go.
It's not just about the rings. You guys need to understand this. Who'd Michael Jordan beat in the finals?
I mean,
Magic Johnson and the Lakers.
Yeah.
Clyde Drexler and the Portland Trailblazers. John Stockton and Karl Malone twice. Do I have to add Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns? Like, he played against superstars, Hall of Famers. I know they weren't Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. I know.
I get you. Okay.
But I'm not even considering those years. You couldn't beat an old, washed-up Tony Parker, a young Kawhi Leonard, Manu Ginobili, and Tim Duncan.
That team was good.
It was a good
Hall of
team.
Famers, multiple Hall of Famers.
It was a good team. They weren't in their primes.
I mean,
come on. Come on here.
You got
That's
4 or
like saying
5.
the Lakers in 04 were a super team because they had an aging Karl Malone who was useless.
No.
Who could get you 14 a game?
But doesn't discredit they should have won, considering what was on their team, right? Because, I mean, I get what you're saying.
Kobe and Shaq, yes, but who were the young prime players on the Spurs during that time? Nobody. Well, it was Tim Duncan towards the end of his career. And they lost twice to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it should have been 3 times if it wasn't for Ray Allen. And I have to take that into consideration.
Right.
So that's the thing with LeBron that
But I think in our way you're kind of undermining them because you just said they should have lost 3. So we got to give credit to the Spurs.
They should have lost 3 given what happened. But who had the better players?
LeBron.
The Miami Heat.
Oh well, yes. But let me read off who Michael Jordan faced. We're talking about Hall of Famers. So he's faced Magic Johnson, James Worthy, Clyde Drexler, Charles Barkley, Gary Payton, Stockton Malone. Okay? That's 9 Hall of Famers he's faced through his finals career. So we'll look at LeBron's. He's faced Tim Duncan 3 times, Tony Parker 3 times, Manu Ginobili 3 times, Dirk Nowitzki, Jason Kidd, KD 3 times, Russell Westbrook.
Jason Kidd doesn't count. He was 40 years old when he was playing with the Mavs.
I'm just saying. These are guys he's faced. James Harden, Kawhi Leonard twice, Steph Curry 4 times, Clay 4 times, Draymond Green 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
So matchups are important. And if we're going to talk about who plays against harder opponents, I'm giving it to LeBron. But that doesn't take away, and that's not going to make LeBron go above Jordan. The point is, you had the Miami Heat Big 3. They should have won 3 out of the 4 titles. I'm not going to disagree with you there. And the Dallas Maverick final matters. That matters a lot.
That was embarrassing.
It was. And that's a detriment. People say what you want. If that doesn't happen, maybe there's a better argument because that was bad. What they did to Dirk Nowitzki, he was the only superstar on that team. You had Jason Terry come out and hit big shots to beat the Miami Heat. That's an asterisk on LeBron James's career. So we can have that discussion. He's faced harder opponents. But at the end of the day, Michael is the greatest because we're talking about statistics. We're talking about accomplishments.
I don't understand the argument, though, about he played harder opponents. Why? Well,
better teams.
Karl Malone and John Stockton and the Utah Jazz were a 60-win team every single season.
Okay, I get you. But that was also
the Phoenix Suns, the year with Charles Barkley, were a 55-plus win season, and he was the MVP. Clyde Drexler, look, the Portland Trailblazers won. I'll push aside. It wasn't that impressive. The Lakers won. Old Magic. They were kind of the end of the peak Lakers at the time. They were going to go into a rebuild. Fine, okay. Dude's 6-0 in the finals. Never got to a Game 7. And he was the best player on the court every single time. And so was LeBron.
Yeah, I was going to say, that I get you though.
And that's why they're 1 and 2, and that's why they're the 2 greatest. But MJ is just the go. I don't know how else to explain it to you guys.
Right.
And LeBron's Eastern Conference opponents, who were they? DeMar DeRozan and the Raptors?
Well, I mean, listen.
Who were they?
We're talking about
Paul George and the Indiana Pacers with who was that fat, no good offensive outputting center for the Indiana Pacers? What was his name? The guy who everybody thought.
What are you talking about for Cleveland?
No, for Indiana.
Oh, Indiana. Roy Hibbert. Roy Hibbert. Yep, Roy
My
Hibbert.
guy.
Yep, Roy Hibbert.
Mr. LeBron. Everybody's a LeBron stopper till he walks away with 30, 10, and 10, right? Every night. I mean, it's just funny to me. It really is. Look, and that's not discrediting LeBron James. I mean, he is the 2nd greatest player of all time. He's on the
that's an insult.
Like, it's not an insult.
No,
People need to stop taking it that way. But there are levels to it, and you know what? If I were to put it this way to you, okay? When MJ was playing, okay, with those Chicago Bulls in the late 80s, was the conversation LeBron is choking in the playoffs? Or, excuse me, Michael's choking in the playoffs? No, he's putting up 61 against the Celtics and losing.
Yep.
He didn't have a winning team. You need a team to win. I'm not saying you don't need a team. That Cleveland team that lost to the Spurs, I don't hold against LeBron. That's not fair.
Being in Cleveland took a good 6 years off his career. He made the finals once, but he should have never done
Michael's Bulls weren't all that until they got Phil and Scotty.
Yeah, they need Scotty and Phil as well.
He definitely needed Scotty.
Yep.
Along with all the other guys that they had, a bunch of white boys shooting the threes. Look, it worked. It worked out.
Yeah,
Dennis Rodman towards the tail end, they did a good job building a super team together. If you want to call it a super team, I don't know. You guys are so offended by that word today. But LeBron has done what nobody's done in NBA history, and that's deliver on expectations coming into the league.
Yeah.
They thought he was the next Michael Jordan, and he came up short. But does anybody ever come short of Jordan?
Yeah, usually they're way short. Usually.
I love Kobe. Kobe, for me, is a top 5 player.
Definitely.
But LeBron finishes, even though it hurts my soul to say it, LeBron is a better player than Kobe Bryant.
And I think it's so hard having this Kobe Bryant discussion as well, because I think the part that kind of hurts Kobe is he's so similar to Jordan, and he has less championships. He
has
Jordan.
5 though.
I know. No, I'm just saying.
He's got more than Bron.
I'm comparing them all. You know what I mean? You got to look at. LeBron's a completely different. In my opinion, LeBron is the most complete player ever. He's the best complete player ever. But we're talking about greatest of all time. It's Michael Jordan, and I think that kind of is a detriment to Kobe in a way because he played the same position. He was just like Mike.
Guys, can I offer some context here, because I don't think you're listening. You need to understand why LeBron is a better player than Kobe. Because during Kobe's late years, and even in the middle of the road before Paul Gasol and Andrew Bynum, you know what the Lakers were doing? They were missing the playoffs. LeBron James has an innate ability that we have never seen, where he can make everybody around him better.
Absolutely.
That's why. Kobe, if you're asking me, who do I want to start my team with? I'm taking Jordan and Kobe first, over LeBron. But you know what? If you're asking me for a 15-year stretch who I want, LeBron's getting me to, 5, 6, 7, 8 finals.
Yeah.
With average teams. I don't even need to pay the team much.
You'll have a chance.
I'm selling out the arena every night. I know I got a chance with the guy. With Kobe, I love Kobe. God rest his soul. Until they traded for Paul Gasol, and he basically asked for a trade, the Lakers weren't doing much. He wasn't carrying the players around him. Now, when you put good players around Kobe and MJ, they're killers.
They're killers, yeah.
And that's why they're some of the greatest of all time.
So when he had Shaq, he won 3.
Now, with LeBron, he needs the superstars just to win, but he can get you there without him.
Got there in Cleveland without any, So
I think that's kind of what you guys are misunderstanding with the whole Kobe and LeBron conversation.
Yeah.
LeBron has done things we have never seen basketball players do. It's a fact. No one's ever carried and gone everywhere and made teams that much better. Granted, we have to be fair. LeBron is a bitch, because wherever he goes, the superstars follow, and then he leaves his previous teams in cap hell and with no roster, or with all aging veterans. That is a fact. I'm not saying LeBron is perfect either.
Right.
But it's tough to mimic what LeBron did. You can't take away what he's done. But he's not MJ.
No.
He just isn't.
We're talking about the greatest. And like you said, you're taking into account everything. And if you are taking into account everything, it's MJ, clearly. Now, is there anything LeBron could do to ever top MJ? I don't think so.
Funky, you know what? You brought up a good point, man. And I don't want to finish this segment without bringing it up. You know what? Larry Bird, I think, is underappreciated as hell.
Oh,
and
definitely.
I have him in my top 10.
Oh, absolutely. Top 7, I would say, too.
Larry
Bird's
Bird
that
is,
guy.
Just from what my father told me. Yeah. Larry Bird was a... Fish, get ready to type this down. Larry Bird was a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Seriously.
He's cold-blooded.
That's what Larry Bird was. So I don't want to discredit Bird either, but... Guys, it's tough to go up against a guy that has given you 27, 7, and 7 his entire career. And if I forget the stats, the winning, the carrying the bad teams, 23 straight points against the Pistons. I mean, look, LeBron he's one of the greats. We can't not credit him. If Kobe was on the Miami Heat team, would they win more chips? Yeah. And that's the difference. But that's the difference. That's why he's not the greatest. And if you want to put him at 5, you put him at 5. I won't disagree with you.
Hold up. What was the question?
If Kobe was on those Miami Heat teams, do they win more chips? I'd say yeah.
Let me put it like this. So during that stretch, LeBron was averaging, I believe, 34 points a game in the finals during those time of years. He was averaging, I think, 34, 8, and 8, something like that, during those 3 finals. So it was never a performance issue with LeBron. It's just the Miami Heat just couldn't win.
I think you're missing out a little bit on the stats here. I'm gonna pull it up for you. I don't think it was 34. I think it was actually a lot less because you have to include
it was 30, definitely.
the Dallas series because that's gonna mess with it a lot. So if I go to the playoff runs with Miami, okay? If I just go to the Miami here, in the playoffs, he was averaging.
I'm talking in the finals, not playoffs. But yeah,
you're talking in the finals.
Yeah, because we're talking about wins and losing the finals itself. He averaged around 30 points.
I'm okay with that.
But just basically saying the performance was never the issue with LeBron. It was just the fact that whatever it was, maybe if Kobe...
we knock players for getting stats that don't attribute to winning. I don't think LeBron is one of those players. But
No.
I will say...
Because Dwayne, in that year...
The reason why LeBron has as many losses in the finals is not just because of the competition. It's because LeBron can't get his... like a Jordan and Kobe could when they needed it. Now, he's gotten better with it, don't get me wrong. But what? You got a bubble win against the Heat? You went to the Heat, joined up with the super team, changed the whole league. Like, it's...
And then I think it's tough, too, because then 3 of his losses are to the best team ever. So it's like, do you take those away?
Yeah,
like, when one of them was without Kyrie or Kevin Love, do you take that away? Like, it's
But what'd Steph have? Like, Draymond was nothing at the time. He wasn't, like, the top 10 player in the NBA. Klay Thompson was a nice 2.
Are you talking about the year they didn't have Kevin and Kyrie?
Yeah.
I mean,
they were an emerging team.
They were, but if you're comparing teams, you got LeBron, Dellavedova, on the other end, and then you got Kyrie, Clay.
I don't know,
or
man.
not Kyrie, excuse me, Curry, Clay, and Draymond Green.
You know what?
I get what
Let's
you're
do
saying,
this.
though,
Tomorrow, let's come up with our 10 best players of all time. Let's bring in a list tomorrow.
All right.
Because I really want to think this through. Because as much as I want to give LeBron credit, I have to consider a lot of things. And you know what? The Larry Bird argument, I think, is a great argument. I really do. So tomorrow, we're going to do a top 10 greatest NBA players of all time. We'll have that discussion. We're going to go to a quick break, but before we go, I got to tell you about Gypsy Vodka.
Yes.
Gypsy Vodka, the smoothest and best tasting vodka on the market, guys. Michigan owned, Michigan operated. Michigan's vodka, gluten-free. Check it out. Ask for it by the name of Gypsy. And guys, as always, please do drink responsibly.
Hi, my diamonds. It's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house. Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Live from Woodward Avenue. That's why we're called Woodward Sports. Detroit's real sports network.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Guys, it's mailbag time. Let's get the questions in the chat. What do you got for us today? Let's start with this. What order do you rank the Celtics' big 3? KG, Pierce, and Ray Allen? Or do you like to rephrase it as KFM? KG, Pierce, and Allen.
Kind of just, you already ordered it for me.
I'm going to go KG, Allen, and Pierce. That's going to be my order. 1, 2, and 3, it'll be KG, Allen, and Pierce. Pierce was so hard to like. Sorry, I don't like Paul Pierce at all.
In terms of likability, I'm going the same way. I mean, maybe I'd have Pierce over Allen, but Pierce, man, no one will ever forget the time he took the wheelchair out just to use the bathroom. No one ever forgets that.
That's his problem. But look, Ray Allen, I thought, was more important to that basketball team, and it showed because when he left and went to Miami...
Oh, they missed him.
They missed him bad.
They missed him.
He killed him in the postseason, and then he hit the shot.
Yeah. You need a guy like Ray, man. Those guys are clutch.
Are there any players you'd be willing to package the 32nd pick for and some other pick to trade up in this year's draft for a low mid-20s pick? I don't think there's a player I'd package. I don't think I would need to package a player to move up 10 spots. I think it's a first-round pick, likely maybe a second, or a third.
What if a
or
guy like
multiple fours? Who knows about a third and a fourth?
What if a guy like Nakobe Dean slides like he's in the 20s still? Would you jump up?
I think you have to consider making that move. I
would
think
agree
you
with
do,
you.
absolutely.
I would agree.
I saw Jordan answer the GOAT question one time. Like this, he said, it's all subjective to the era, which it really is. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think LeBron is the greatest player of the 2010s. Duncan and Kobe of the 2000s. The 90s were Jordans. The 80s were Magic and Birds.
It's a great way to put it.
So I think that's a really fair way to put it. It really is. But guys, again, Jordan won 6 of 10 possible rings in a 10-year stretch. And he didn't even play 9 of them.
And he left for 2 years.
Or excuse me, he didn't play 3 of them.
And then he just said, deuces, I'm out. If he would have stayed, who knows? He could have probably got another one.
Where does Carmelo rank all time? Look, I know they had him in the top 75. Look, maybe he does deserve to be in there, but my whole point yesterday is you don't have a list without Dwight Howard and Ben Wallace. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you leave a guy out like Tracy McGrady, even though he's basically the same player, same accomplished player as Carmelo Anthony. Both could score. Both led the league in scoring, 30-plus points a game at one point in their careers.
Didn't win, but
put up
stats.
You know, didn't deliver in the postseason or the playoffs like you wanted.
Right.
Funky, it really is. There was some solid ball players back in the day. Most of us simply just missed out on. Yeah, 1,000%. 1,000%. When I think of the 90s guys, I think of Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boy Pistons for the beginning stretch of it, but MJ.
You had Hakeem.
You had Hakeem for the 2 years where they won back-to-back.
Yep.
You had David Robinson running the league. Young Shaq in Orlando. Like, there were a lot of great players. It's tough to really just say one, right? Just give me one every era. It's really tough. But who dominated the 2010s? It was LeBron.
Yeah.
Who dominated the 2000s? It was actually the Lakers and the Spurs.
They kind
so
of
you got to give it to Duncan and Kobe.
Yeah.
And really Shaq. And then the 90s, MJ ran it. 80s, Magic, Bird, and Isaiah.
That's the best way to put it. You can't argue with it.
Adam, do you still watch the NBA today? I watch the Pistons every 3-4 nights, to be honest with you. I keep up with it, obviously, because I work in sports talk. It's my job to keep up with it. But as a fan of the NBA, I'm not watching our out-of-market games. I'll watch the Nets and the Bucks this Saturday.
Yeah, like that's the best teams square
That's
off.
a game I'm probably gonna flick on, put on the TV and watch for a few minutes. But I'm not gonna sit there minute 1 to the final minute of the game. You know, I only do that with the Detroit Pistons. Same player, but T-Mac could not stay healthy.
True.
Alex English is slept on. Absolutely, CJ. Alex English was a walking bucket.
Walking bucket.
And they put the walking KFC bucket James Harden in there. I don't know how. I don't get it at all. Shaq in Orlando was the fun years for Shaq. Absolutely. And then when he went to the Lakers, he was just the most dominant player, I would argue, in NBA history. I've never seen a player dominate the way Shaq has. And guys, you know, everyone older than me, if you've ever seen a player dominate the way Shaq has, educate.
Yeah.
But I've never seen a player physically dominate the basketball court and impose his will like Shaquille O'Neal did for a 5-year stretch with the Los Angeles Lakers.
Absolutely.
It was unbelievable. Do you think Jordan was asked to retire the first time because of gambling? Yeah, I've seen that rumor. I don't know. I really don't.
I don't think anybody will know either.
I don't think you'll ever know that question, or the answer to that question. What I also know is, even if he did walk away, look, I mean, it's convenient that his dad also died around that same time and was murdered. And he walked away and played baseball, then came back, and then another 3-peat. So, Mark Aguirre's slept on, yeah, maybe not. Maybe he was close to 80, 82, somewhere around that range. Everyone thinking wide receiver at 32 for Detroit. Either you have a preference on wide receiver, or do you have a preference on the wide receiver? I don't think Garrett Wilson falls. I know you brought him up earlier. No chance in hell he slides.
You think David Bell?
David Bell
I like
falls.
him a lot, too.
Drake London doesn't fall. The kid out of Arkansas probably doesn't fall. Treylon Burks,
yep.
Yeah, David Bell's going to be there. Jahan Dotson likely going to be there at 32.
Who are you taking on all those guys? If you had, you know, I'll give you David Bell. I'll give you Jahan Dotson. I'll give you Olave because Garrett Wilson probably will go earlier.
I'll take Olave.
Okay.
But I think the Browns go for Olave.
Mm.
And I think the Jets are probably going to go after
one of those guys.
Drake London type players. I think they're going to go. And Garrett Wilson going to go pretty early. Garrett Wilson might even go to Cleveland. I remember Wilt as a child. Adam was really young dude, was a beast, made Shaq look like a baby. Wilt wasn't fair. So, like, I don't want to discredit Wilt here. Please, I'm not trying to sound ignorant. But when you go up against people that look like me, you should be putting up 50 and 50 a game. But
Yeah.
that's regardless of the point, guys. It's 10 o'clock. Thank you for the great show. It was a fun conversation with all of you. Thank you to everybody who was chatting in and chiming in. We'll see you tomorrow. It's Friday. We're going to have a great show. Top 10 players tomorrow. Pistons play tonight. Can't wait to recap that tomorrow. Guys, have a great Thursday. See you tomorrow.